ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
You can still hold out and want more money, quit on his teammates.
He did.
Yeah.
But what he did and
I will never forget when his mom and dad asked me to help pay for his education.
Yeah.
I didn't really want to do it at first. And I said, you know what? Let's do it.
He's got potential.
He's got potential. Let's help him out.
You know, today's payments.
Weekday morning 7 to 9. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Tuesday afternoon. The remainder of the day, mostly sunshine and 77 with a moderate breeze around 13 miles per hour coming out of the west-northwest. For tonight, clear skies with a gentle breeze and a low near 57. Tomorrow, wind 5 to 10 miles per hour, sunny and a high around 73. For Thursday, sunshine and a high of 77. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
CBC Construction is looking for a few good men. At CBC Construction, our greatest strength lies within our talented team. Join us and be a part of a dynamic company that values its people. We offer a tremendous opportunity to create a future for your family and the Florida Panhandle. CBC Construction is now hiring. Call us at 850-740-3815 or visit cbcconstruction.com to learn more. CBC Construction. Be part of a winning team.
When you bring your vehicle to Panama City Toyota for repairs or maintenance, you'll get the warmest welcome around.
That's because we see service differently.
It's not only an expert team that can help with everything, from simple adjustments to a new set of tires. It's also a team that values your time, so we make your experience as quick and comfortable as possible. Because we're committed to service that goes beyond. Only at Panama City Toyota.
Tired of flipping through channels and finding nothing good? Introducing Scorpion TV. Over 5,000 live streaming channels. Catch every game of the season with over 100 sports networks, including ESPN, ESPN Plus, the NFL Network, and Red Zone. Even pay-per-view events. Watch 400 local network channels from Panama City and most markets throughout the country. Fox, ABC, CBS, and NBC. It's more than sports. Scorpion TV offers premium movie channels like HBO, Cinemax, Stars, 200 plus entertainment and news networks, or watch thousands of movies on demand, all for just $45 a month when you use the ESPN NW promo code at checkout. Watch on up to 5 devices at the same time. Perfect for sharing with family and friends. Scorpion TV gives you everything you want for less. Cut the cord, not the fun. To score Scorpion TV, go to ESPNPC.com and click on the Scorpion TV logo. Don't forget our promo code ESPN NW.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota. ESPN Northwest Florida. Broadcasting from the CBC Construction Studios. Get ready.
Deep center field and heading for the horizon.
Sports Talk Radio will never be the same.
Onion pickles, onions, pickles.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Way back and gone.
On ESPN.
Northwest Florida.
What's going on, Northwest Florida? You are now riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes, along with Tyler Bishop and Caveman Rick, and we are in the CBC Construction Studios. You can go to cbcconstruction.com or give them a ring at 850-747-3815. They are looking for a few good men. So go to cbcconstruction.com and fill out a application there. Drop your resume in and see if you can get a good job. We also have a new sponsor for the phone line, which is 850-215-6290. You can text or call the Jed Lawyers phone line. So thank you, for, guys, for sponsoring us, and give us a call on the Jed Lawyers phone lines.
I was reading it. I was like, the GED lawyer.
That's what
I saw that. I was like, oh, that's all right.
I just got done cutting like 4 of their commercials. So that's when I realized that it was, but I was like, GED lawyers. I didn't know. I mean, the NIL space is going crazy. Like, I don't want my diploma. You better pay me to get my GED. Oh, man. But yeah, thanks. Give us a call on on that Jed Lawyers phone line, 850-215-6290. We're streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. You can like and share the Facebook feed and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also go download the app and register. Just go to your Google Play Store or your Apple Store. Type in 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, and you can take us with you wherever you go. Oh, man, race to Talladega coming up at 5:40 this afternoon. May or may not have Max Delighten. We've got Tho Bishop ready to talk some NFL draft, and I'm sure that you're chomping at the bit to talk about Nico. I might make you wait all the way until hour number 2 for that, but we'll figure out when that will fall in line. You know how the tangents come up, and I'm sure if Max shows up, there's no way that's not going to be talked about.
It's got to. But I saw a little golf this week, and obviously watched some of the Masters.
Did you?
Watched a little hockey this weekend.
Okay, all right. Let's get into Tyler's. No, let's start it off with how Tyler's weekend went in watching sports.
Man, it was good. So I actually went over to Biloxi, had a little bit of time with some friends over there, and obviously, you got to catch a little bit of the Masters. Obviously, that was a roller coaster of emotion for Roy. Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine what he was going through. There was so many performances, like just hit or miss, literally and figuratively, and obviously ended up being great going into the 18th tiebreaker hole. And man, I saw I can't remember the guy's last name. The guy who finished, I think it was third. He missed a putt that cost him like $250,000.
Oberg.
Yeah,
it looks like Aberg.
Yeah. He ended up costing it was a putt that cost him like $250,000. So it's like, man, that's how close it comes down to. Mm-hmm. And if Justin Rose had ended up winning, he would have probably been a pretty big payout for somebody because he was down 6 strokes, I think, going into Sunday. Obviously had an amazing Sunday.
Well, I don't know how many. I don't know if it was 6 strokes, but I know he was on Thursday and Friday. He was on top, and then
Rory was 5. So or 12. So I think there was a handful, and then I saw a little bit of.
Yeah, he had a 2-stroke lead on DeChambeau going into Sunday.
Yeah, that's why they were paired up. But then I saw a little bit. What was it? The Anaheim Colorado hockey game. Was it Sunday night, Monday night?
Okay.
And Anaheim was.
I don't know. I didn't.
Anaheim was up 2-0 and blew 4 goals. Gave up 4 goals in the third period to blow that game going into the playoffs. So a little bit of everything for y'all.
Yeah, how'd you enjoy hockey?
I'll tell you, I was super impressed by the color guys because that puck is moving so fast and immediate name recognition. Oh, they did drop pass to this guy, and I was having just watching it. I was having trouble keeping up with where the puck was, who had it. And obviously, I don't know any of the players, but it was super impressive to see how quickly they could keep up with the shots and the passes and the changing of the players and everything. It was super impressive.
Rick, how would you? What sport would you say would be the toughest to commentate as the color commentary, not play-by-play?
If I had to pick one of those, football is kind of tough because you got 22 guys on the field, right? So you have to know a lot about what's going on in the field, all different positions. But like Tyler was saying, the hockey is probably right up there too because you change on the fly. Yeah. So in the middle of plays, guys are going to the bench, new guys are coming on, so you kind of have to be cognizant of what's going on there, Plus a lot of the foreign names too, so you have to be down with pronunciation. A lot of these names, because it's not Smith and Jones and Jacksons and guys like that.
Is so small and moving so fast. It's hard to see. Basketball, soccer, even baseball. The ball's a little bit easier to track than that puck.
Preference it like this though too. The announcers that are watching it, they're not watching it on the TV like we are. So they got that top ice view. So they're getting the view of everything unlike on TV. And unfortunately, hockey's not made for TV. There's no lens or no way to film it or record it that makes it really conducive for watching always on TV. Football is great, TV type sport. But hockey's kind of, there's something that's lost there. If you see a game live and you go to it to experience it for real, it's a lot different than watching it on TV.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think they've gotten a lot better at the broadcast of hockey as time has gone on, but when you go to a game, there's a different feel to it. And for the broadcasters, not only do they have that view, but they also have the TVs up there with them, so they get the best of both worlds. I think cricket would probably be the toughest. I know absolutely nothing about the sport, so no. I wonder if baseball, you have to have that right cadence, though. Yeah. It has to be. It's just got to be the right chemistry between the play-by-play guy and the color commentary. But I would imagine, just because of the name pronunciation, I would say that hockey would be the toughest. Curious as to your guys' thoughts on that. The Braves last night won 8-4. They snapped a 6-game losing streak win on the road, taking on Toronto. Grant Holmes had himself a heck of a night last night. Career best for him, 7 2/3 inning. Didn't allow a hit until the 6th inning, gave up a home run, and then he also gave up 3 runs because when he came out, I believe he had the bases juiced to runners on second and third. Austin Riley had 2 home runs last night, 3rd and 4th on the season, and that's also his 7th career multi-home run games. He had 5 RBIs to go along with those 2 big shots, so hopefully they can keep it rolling tonight. Coverage will start for the Atlanta Braves right after the Afternoon Underdogs. Coverage starts at 6. First pitch tonight, 6:07. Spencer Schwellenbach going for the Braves tonight. He's 1-0. Doesn't even have a ERA above 1. He's at .45 right now, and he'll be taking on former Brave Kevin Gausman, who's 1-1, ERA of 2.33. And then also last night, Paul Skeens, so the catcher, Rodriguez for the Pittsburgh Pirates, ended up getting injured, lacerated one of his fingers. And so Henry Davis came in, and that made Paul Skeens and Henry Davis the first pitcher-catcher battery in Major League Baseball history, where the pitcher and the catcher were former number 1 picks, number 1 overall picks. So pretty impressive stuff there for the Pirates. Yeah. No. 2021 for Henry Davis, and then 2023 for Paul Skeens. So they weren't back-to-back years, but still, I mean, right
pretty
there,
close. I thought
right
he was
there next to each other.
Skeens. Okay, so my bad.
Yeah, did you see anything about that? That's
yeah, I did see that, like a little blip on that on the TV. I thought that was kind of neat. Saw it this morning that like they made history that way. Eventually, I mean, baseball's still kind of one of those games, kind of weird. You know, they've been playing it for 140 years or whatever it's been, and still got stuff like this coming up. It's like the first time something's ever happened.
Yeah, that is wild for it to be happening in the sport of baseball. And I don't know exactly how far the Major League Baseball draft goes, but to be the number 1 overall player in the draft is pretty impressive in and of itself, right? And then to be an organization that has 2 of those within 3 years, and just wild how that plays out. But Henry Davis
not to be on the same team.
Right, that's what I'm saying, for the same organization to have him. But Henry Davis is 25 years old, so his career didn't really skyrocket the way that Paul Skeens did. But maybe he'll get a few more opportunities to show what he's got up at the Major League level. I know Adam Goff would love that, as he is a product of Louisville. How's your Phillies doing, Caveman Rick?
Not so hot. They lost last night to the Giants, so we got another game tonight. See how that goes this evening. Hoping, get a W so we don't fall back a little bit. We got to still lead in that division, so we just need to tighten up.
Luzardo going for the Phillies tonight. I know that because of one of my fantasy baseball leagues. So he's got the green check by his name. We'll see how he does this evening. What do you think about this, Tyler? Travis Hunter. I got Derrick Henry on the mind for some reason right now. Travis Hunter says that he might not even play. He would retire, I guess, right after being drafted if he can't play both ways. What do you make of that? Is that more or less selfish than what's been going on with Nico Iamaleava?
That's insane. I don't even know what to say about it, because it's just not a great look.
That's a lie, man.
First of all,
you can't even take it serious.
But second of all, you're going through a job interview. It's essentially what the pre-draft process is a job interview, and you're telling any of your future employers, you better do what I tell you to, or I'm not playing for you. That's not a great way to go into it, in my opinion. You're kind of starting it off a certain way. I don't know if I necessarily believe it. And I guess, I don't know if it was in an interview. Maybe he was kind of saying it as a joke. CBS
Sports, I guess, they're the original source of this.
Maybe
and
not then,
he said none of the teams that he's met with have said that he couldn't play both sides, but he said that if he wasn't able to play both sides, he'll never play football again. Again, context is kind of important there, being able to actually hear the interview and read the room a little bit.
There's a difference in wanting to play both ways, in being a defensive back that gets a few snaps at wide receiver. I heard somebody on NFL Network, a caller called in, is yeah, man, you could draft, you could have him just play third down specialist cornerback. And I was like, man, you know how tough it is to be a cornerback in the NFL? You think you're just going to be able to be a part-time cornerback? It ain't going to work that way. I think it's much more likely if he wants to play both ways, defense is going to have to be his primary, playing field. And then he'll have some special plays, special packages on offense where he comes in, runs a few different routes. But the odds of seeing him playing 90 snaps, 45 and 45 is just not realistic. And again, so is that enough? Is 3 plays on offense and all the plays on defense? Is that what he means by playing both ways? Or does he fully expect to play 80, 90% of both snaps? And I just don't think that's not a smart business move on his end or the team's end for career longevity, like money-making opportunity. They're not going to pay you twice as much because you're playing twice as much. And, I mean, maybe when he gets that second contract, he could negotiate more, but why would you want to do that to yourself?
I don't know. Is he trying to like weed out certain teams? Maybe the teams that don't want to give him the opportunity to go both ways, and then that way, if he says something like this, he's more like likely to be going to a team that's going to entertain the idea of him playing both ways.
It could be that thing. Like he interviewed with, let's just say the Giants because they're up there, and the Giants like absolutely not. If we draft you, we're playing only defense, and he comes out and says something like this to kind of give them something to think about. That could be. It could be a leveraged ploy.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know if I truly believe it because the guy seems to love football. Right?
Yeah, the kind of money he'd be throwing away, though. It's like, seriously, dude, really? You gonna go play for the UFL? Is that what we're talking about? You're gonna go do that?
Yeah, I can't believe he'd walk away from the kind of money he's scheduled to make in the NFL. Because I mean, if he just were to retire, he wouldn't get any of that money. Right. I don't think so. Yeah,
I think it's just people.
And he may have been joking more than the headline makes it come off to look to. I don't know. I didn't see the interview. Maybe he said it a certain way in the interview. It took him more literal.
Regardless, people put it out there, and they've exactly. It has served its purpose. I don't think there's anything to look at. I mean, you've at least got to go through a full year, and he can say everything that he wants, but to play 17 games where you're playing. An abundance of snaps on both sides of the ball, like you mentioned, will take a toll on his body. But maybe, I mean, if he's built that differently, who knows?
He hasn't proved that he can play a full season in the NFL yet, just playing one way, let alone two ways. So let's, pump the brakes.
There you go. Dolphins are saying that they're going to trade or trying to find a trade partner for Jalen Ramsey. I don't know how I feel about this. Like, you're don't blow it up all the way yet until you figure out, all right, we're going to be moving on for sure 100% from Tua Tagovailoa. I don't know how I feel about trading one of the better defensive backs. It makes a case for the best defensive back in the NFL. Do you think this is a smart move on behalf of the Dolphins? Let's start with you, Tyler.
I mean, if you don't feel like you're getting if you think you can get more for what the guy you're trying to trade away than what you feel like you're getting, it's always a good move. It's a business decision at that point. I mean, Jalen Ramsey's kind of interesting because he's a guy that's been around a few teams now. He got drafted by Jacksonville, traded to the Rams, now been in Miami. I can't remember if he got traded to or signed as a free agent in Miami, but
I think that was the trade.
But I mean, Miami's got a lot of decisions to make. They paid Tua, but how long does that last? Tyreek Hill has had some issues. Waddle's been pretty good. Even last year with A-Chain has kind of been injury prone, but really productive when he's there. The head coach, are they fully sold on him? It seemed like Miami was one of those teams like on a huge rocket. Like their trending was trending upward really quickly for a minute there, and now it just doesn't feel that way anymore. It's going to be interesting to see how that franchise looks in the next 5 years as a whole. I mean, is the coach still there? Is Tua still there?
I was about to say,
are any of these players still there for the most part?
If the Dolphins don't have a good year, I could very well see him getting rid of Mike McDaniel.
And then
which I think he's a great.
Tua's not far behind him.
Oh, if they get rid of Mike McDaniel, they're going to get rid of their GM as well, and Tua's going to be gone as well. I mean, Tua has to stay healthy again this year to be able to continue his career as a starter. I'm
surprised medically they're still letting him play to an extent. Like, I mean, with some of the serious issues he's had, I'm surprised there hasn't been a doctor that's going to say, like, you can't play anymore. And maybe, they could find another doctor that would clear him, but I'm a little surprised he hasn't gotten more of those, like, hey, you probably should not play anymore.
Oh, I'm sure he's getting plenty of those that you shouldn't play and you should hang them up. But as long as you can get the one or two guys out there that say, hey, you're still viable to go out there and play, and that's what you want to do, you're going to probably take that, and then take that opinion and go out there and run with it. As far as trading Ramsey, you're not going to get you're going to get less for him now because he's on the block and everybody knows you're wanting to make a move.
Yeah.
If you're wanting to do that, you should have kept it on the down low. The draft's right around the corner. You probably could have made something happen in the next week or the next week and a half by draft day if you just kind of would have, kept it to close to the vest. I think now you just kind of screwed yourself, man. You're losing, draft capital, or you're losing any kind of capital that you could have gained in making a move for this guy now. You did have, Tyreek Hill on the rocks. He was not wanting to be there, even though you kind of ironed out that situation. So how are you going to do that? Now you're going to lose a really good, defensive player on the other side of the ball. That's not going to make people on the offense happy because, now they're going to have to score more points in a game in order to win. So, Miami's a mess, man.
The only thing I think of, that is maybe they already had a guy, like a team that maybe they were in talks with just using it, like Baltimore, right? And Baltimore is maybe trying to lowball. I'm like, okay, we'll just tell everybody he's on the market. We were giving you first dibs, but now everybody knows he's on the market. Maybe they're trying to force somebody's hand.
That team being down there in Miami too, man, they struggle late in the season all the time because of, well, let's just face it, it's the weather. I mean, you're got a team that comes from Miami, used to playing in the 70-degree weather, and then they're asked to go to places like Buffalo in January and win. And we just know that stuff's really not going to happen. Players aren't built the way they used to be. I hate to say it, and just saying weather is a determining factor, but I mean, in a lot of games, it's going to come down to that, come like January time. So, I mean, Miami needs to be a team that early on in the season, when they can get a lead in the division and the conference, they need to go ahead and they need to do that and be advantageous about that, because Lord knows once it starts getting cold out, their chances aren't doing so great, So I don't want to be a Miami fan right now. I can tell you right now. And
Miami fans don't want to be Miami fans.
It was looking promising there for like a little while, But there's just too many question marks now. You got a quarterback that, literally could be gone at any point in time. One more hit in any game, and he could be done.
Yeah. No, it's funny because Miami, like, I've never kind of thought about it that way, but like Miami's quest for home field advantage is almost as important as anybody else, because like Buffalo loves it because of the snow.
Right, yeah.
Kansas City loves it because of the fans of the weather, but like Miami needs it as much as anybody because of the opposite, not having to play in those elements.
They need it for themselves.
Yeah.
And if you're a team going down there late in the year, you have a trouble with cramping and stuff like that, because you're not used to playing in those warmer temperatures, You're used to playing when it's cooler out. You can stay hydrated a little bit easier,
Well, wasn't Tom Brady like 0-12 or something like that against Miami when they played before like October? It was some kind of crazy stat. Anytime they played before October 1st, I don't think Tom Brady beat Miami when he was with New England because of the weather difference, like
I can see
humidity
that,
and everything else.
Yeah.
So
and then he goes down and plays in Tampa.
Well, then you get used to it. Then you get adjusted to it. But
oh man, that is something that's interesting that you don't really think a whole lot about when it comes to NFL home field advantage, and the fact for the Dolphins, we know that part, that it's tough for them to go play up north, especially when you got a Hawaiian as a quarterback, and then he played his college ball at Alabama and really didn't do too well in the cold games there, even though there wasn't many of those, not what we've seen from him in the NFL. So I don't think they're going to be getting it anytime soon, though. Not the number one seed in the AFC. I think that's Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Patrick Mahomes territory right there. But we'll see for the Dolphins. We'll see what they can put together this year. Maybe a resurgent year and a great connection between Tua and Tyreek Hill. The 17 attendees. Let me know if any of these names are surprising outside of Jalen Milroe. But the 17 NFL players are going to be going to the NFL draft, as we're going to be talking NFL draft with Tho Bishop. You got Cam Ward out of Miami, Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss, Jalen Milroe out of Alabama, Travis Hunter out of Colorado, Ashton Genty out of Boise State, Matthew Golden, who's been turning some heads up. I believe I've been hearing some good things about Matthew Golden out of Texas, T-Mac out of Arizona, Tyler Booker, guard out of Alabama, Jahad Campbell out of Alabama, Will Campbell out of LSU, Josh Simmons out of Ohio State, Abdul Carter out of Penn State, Shamar Stewart, another name to watch out for out of Texas A&M, Mikael Williams out of Georgia, Mason Graham and Will Johnson out of Michigan, and Malachi Starks out of Georgia. Is there any names that you're surprised will not be attending, since we're talking about first round here and we've only got 17 guys coming? That's leaving out 15 other picks.
I mean, there's nobody like that. I think Jackson Dart wasn't on the list, right?
No, he was like the third one he mentioned.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, he was.
I mean,
what about Will Howard?
Will Howard being there is
no, he's not. He's not on the list, but
he's not going to be a first round guy.
I know, but
there's nothing against Will Howard.
Right? But do you think we talked about this last year with who's the quarterback? Avery Johnson, Kansas State, right? And we talked. It was weird that Kansas State kind of just gave Will Howard his papers and said, head on up there to Ohio State. And the kid has been good at every stop of the way. Do you think maybe the chip on the shoulder of the recognition he's not really getting, and he turned it on when he needed to turn it on, right, for Ohio State this year? Do you think that could propel him into a good NFL career, a successful NFL career, maybe even as a starter?
I don't know if I'm not going to say he's definitely not a starter, because I feel like I'm a terrible quarterback evaluator. I'm not a great guy. I don't spend enough time watching tape. He's a guy, I mean, he's got all the tools. I mean, he's built kind of like Josh Allen. He's a big guy, but probably bigger than most people realize. I think he's a legitimate 6'4", 6'5", 220-pound type guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think physically he's got it all. You know, there's something to be said. Maybe Kansas State didn't have the best tools around him for him to flourish. I mean, but even times this year at Ohio State, that offense struggled mightily. And that was with some crazy talent around him. So maybe he was a guy that was able to ride some talent and isn't that guy. But I think he's going to get a shot. I think he's going to end up getting drafted probably. He's probably going to be a day 3 guy because you do see that void between, if he's not drafted in the first 40 picks, 50 picks, you don't typically see guys drafted between like 50 and 150 a whole lot. Because you're either a first-round guy or you're not. I mean, a lot of times with quarterbacks, you're either that guy or you're not. But he's going to get a chance. I mean, he'll get a chance to be on a roster. We've seen a lot worse quarterbacks. I mean, if we're being honest, we've seen a lot worse quarterbacks because they're cheap rookies stick around on contracts, being the backup guy instead of, they'd rather pay a guy like that than maybe a Jimmy G that's going to cost them $4 million. They can sign this guy for $900,000 or whatever it is. So, I mean, if he goes to, I think a very, very interesting situation, if he goes to the Vegas, Chip Kelly's their offensive coordinator. He's got some success in that system. They have Geno Smith, who is not a long-term option at quarterback. Maybe that becomes a guy if they don't get Shador or they don't get Cam Ward. Obviously, he's probably going number 1. Then maybe Will Howard is a guy. I mean, only Chip Kelly knows how much he did or did not like Will Howard, but that could be an interesting guy that they could bring in for a year or two while Geno Smith's there, see if they think he's the future, and if not, they can then turn around and draft somebody else because if you replace a 4th-round quarterback, nobody cares.
Tyler Bishop, ladies and gentlemen, our college football prognosticator. Still looking for our first text here on the Jed Lawyers phone line. Text or call us at 850-215-6290. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, tuned in to ESPN Northwest Florida. Coming up next, it's going to be Your Minute with Max.
Weather in the Panhandle never stops. Turn to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast.
Up to the minute weather reports all day long.
A chance of thunderstorms and moderate rain.
In-depth storm coverage.
Winter Storm Enzo.
And breaking weather as it happens.
Hurricane Helene.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
We do have a tropical storm warning.
Rely on it.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Tuesday afternoon. The remainder of the day, mostly sunshine and 77 with a moderate breeze around 13 miles per hour coming out of the west-northwest. For tonight, clear skies with a gentle breeze and a low near 57. Tomorrow, wind 5 to 10 miles per hour, sunny and a high around 73. For Thursday, sunshine and a high of 77. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
CBC Construction is looking for a few good men. At CBC Construction, our greatest strength lies within our talented team. Join us and be a part of a dynamic company that values its people. We offer a tremendous opportunity to create a future for your family and the Florida Panhandle. CBC Construction is now hiring. Call us at 850-740-3815 or visit cbcconstruction.com to learn more. CBC Construction. Be part of a winning team.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
Broadcasting from the CBC Construction Studios. You want a big-time sports show? Tune in for the Afternoon Underdogs.
We're live and local here.
Weekdays from 4 till 6.
We need one more SEC team in there to shake things up.
The Afternoon Underdogs are on the air. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're in the Doghouse riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with Tyler Bishop and Caveman Rick. You're tuned in to ESPN Northwest Florida 104.3 and Panama City 101.9 in Port St. Joe. This is Braves country. And the Braves' next game here on ESPN Northwest Florida is tonight. Coverage starting at 6 right after the Afternoon Underdogs for a 6:07 first pitch. Should be a good game tonight as Spencer Schwellenbach is on the mound for the Braves. Let's get over to a friend of the show's, Max Delighten. Been a long time, my friend.
I know, I'm lacking, man. I'm sorry.
No worries. It sounded like a... Yeah, no, you're good, brother. We know that you are busy. Let's see. You want to start with the NBA play-in games? Who do you got out of Atlanta and Orlando this evening?
Out of Atlanta and who, sorry?
The Magic.
Oh, man, dude. Orlando Magic. I'm going to go with the Magic. I just don't believe in Australia at all. I don't know. It's hard for me to get up. Maybe it's a boomer thing. It's so hard for me to get up for, like, these play-in games.
Max, honestly, my man, let's let Caveman try to give you a call back because you sound a little bit like a robot.
Okay, sounds
good. Sounds good. And then he started sounding good right there. You know how Murphy's Law goes. What is there anything out there in the college football? We're in the midst of the transfer portal, right? It's opened up.
It opened Monday, I think.
Yeah, so we're going to be getting some decisions made. I haven't seen any big ones. The basketball transfer portal, it's like they talk about the tampering going on in college football. There's got to be more tampering going on in college basketball because of the names and how swiftly they change. Has anything been standing out to you from the transfer portal, Tyler Bishop?
I mean, I know we'll touch it at some point. I mean, obviously the Nico Amiolava was the big situation. I mean, it's funny to kind of see one of these come to light. Not funny.
It's our first holdout of college football. It's a important piece of the timeline, right? When you look back on history,
super interesting because he was one of the first big NIL recruits.
Yeah,
we can hear you. Let's try this again and see what's up. All right, give me 1 second.
That's just a little tidbit. We'll get you.
All right, we've got Max here on the line with us. Max, my man, we left off talking about Atlanta and Orlando. Who do you have in that game tonight?
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, I can hear you better.
Orlando Magic. I'll go with the Magic. Honestly, I was saying before, I guess I sound like a robot. It's tough because these play-in games are really hard for me to get up for. I feel like they're just kind of eh.
Yeah, I do hear that, but there's also Memphis and the Warriors tonight. That game should be a little bit better, but the Warriors are a 6.5-point favorite. I think that's down a whole point from this morning. Who do you like in the Grizzlies and the Warriors? And if the Warriors don't get out of the play-in, how big of a deal is that for Golden State?
I like it's a big deal. I mean, I think I like the Warriors here. I would hate to be the Rockets. With the Warriors looming, and the Rockets are such like a baby 2 seed that I think that's such a good setup for the Warriors. It might be a blessing in disguise that they lost.
Hey Max, how was your WNBA draft party? How do you feel about Paige Buckner's going #1 overall?
Yeah, that's awesome. Who drafted her?
The Wings.
Wow. Yeah, I saw we got HVL, so that's cool.
And that's all you know about the WNBA draft.
Yeah, and that's talking WNBA. Sky Nation represent. Yeah, so now we have two. I guess she transferred from LSU, right? She went to TCU.
Yeah, she went to TCU for a year after this past year, I guess.
Haley Van Lith?
Yeah.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah. I guess her and Angel Reese were teammates, so that's pretty cool. I don't know if they get along or not, but
So you didn't have a party?
I didn't. I'm sorry. I was, I didn't.
Well, do you think that this is this rivalry might get you interested in, between Caitlin Clark? Not that it's a rivalry yet, but do you think it will bud into a rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Paige Buckets? I just call her Buckets.
Yeah. Paige Buckets, yeah. That'd be good for the WNBA. I mean, it's tough because last year was so awesome. Like, Caitlin Clark was a bucket, had a good run, almost did the thing. But, I mean, she just, totally changed the scope of the game. And, unfortunately, I don't think there's any players that are even remotely near her caliber right now besides her. And, it would be cool to see someone play up to her level. But I really do think she's in a tier of her own, and you have to respect it. But, I don't know. You see these clips of Sabrina Ionescu holding her camp, and then that 17-year-old guy's just locking her up, and they call a foul on him to help her feel better. And it's like, dude. So, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully HBL does great. I know she was just in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, too, so that's cool.
Well, what topics have been grinded?
Digital edition.
Yeah, digital edition. So you had to get the digital edition for her appearance? Or it wasn't in the printed edition?
I don't know. I just said digital edition, so I'm going to go with that.
What other sport? Is there any topics in the world of sports right now? Because I'll be honest with you, I didn't know until 4 o'clock that you were coming on here. So
no, that's not
didn't
me.
come
That's
up
not
with
me. Let's rip it. I'm excited for the NHL playoffs and NBA playoffs. NHL. I still think the Blues are kind of like a falling knife. Like I would not want to play the Blues in these playoffs. I like them as a sleeper. Baseball right now. It's nice to see the Dodgers continuing to lose series, but ESPN still ranking them number 1 as the power team. And like the other day, I kind of so like Ohtani kind of got away with murder with the gambling thing. Like I think we all agree on that. And then he went like 1 for 11 or 1 for 12 the Cubs series. And we beat him 16-0. And the first highlight on that game is Shohei Ohtani rips a single. And it's like, what?
Well,
like I know it happened early in the game, but still, it's like, why are we putting singles as highlights?
Well, because you got to get the people locked in, and then then you show them the bad lights, the low lights of the LA Dodgers. It is wild to see them with 6 losses already, third in their division, especially with how good that the Padres and the Giants are playing.
Dude, and it was crazy too because they threw like 3 of their best arms, and then we threw 3 of our worst arms, and like. You're never comfortable because we were up 4-2, bottom of the 9th, and 1 out, and Freddie Freeman's your pinch hitter. It's like, oh my gosh. But, I'm honestly excited. Aaron Judge named, captain for Team America. That's a good pick. But the big thing for us in that World Baseball Classic is going to be if we can get some good starting pitchers to pitch for us because we can lap any of these teams. We just don't have any good pitcher commits. Like, we're going to get some bum like Miles Michaelis or something. So, we need, like, in a perfect world, I would love to see the arms, like, nut up and get, Paul Skeens, Tariq Skubal, Zach Wheeler.
Especially with those guys because they're young. And I guess there will be more opportunities, but might as well go ahead and put that notch in your belt of winning or possibly winning a World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, Hunter Green, too, is really coming on. Him and Nick Lodolo are a good one, too. It's too bad they're just wasted on the Reds, but, that's the... they'll both be on a good team one day.
Well, how are you feeling about your Cubs? They just had, obviously, the huge series against the Dodgers, but 120 runs scored this year. They've given up 83, but they've got a nice differential of plus 37. What's been impressing you offensively about your Cubbies?
Yeah, honestly... It sucks because we lost Justin Steele, who's a young candidate for the season. But we're pretty fortunate so far. We've played the Dodgers twice now in series. We haven't played them at Wrigley. We've played the Padres a second series. D-backs. Like, we're playing all the good teams and hanging. I know it's early, but that's still a good sign. Still similar looming issues. We need to sign some bullpen arms. And we need to extend Kyle Tucker. That's got to be priority number 1. Jeff Passan gives me some optimism there because he said, the Cubs weren't players in the Harper sweepstakes, weren't players in the Ohtani sweepstakes, but this is, the first time he thinks we're going to sign him because, unless you're the White Sox owner, it, starts to bug you if you're an owner that's known for being cheap, and you don't want that as your reputation, especially, even though we won the World Series in 2016, you don't want that surrounding you. Yeah, they won in 2016, but he was too cheap to compete again, that type of thing. So I think we're going to pay Tucker. And honestly, the Steele injury might have expedited it because we're going to have to trade a couple guys who are looming in the queue at right field, who are highly touted prospects for arms anyway. So, there was some silver lining there. How are you feeling about the Braves? It doesn't make sense to me right now.
Oh, you got to, you got to let the cake bake. We've just started to mix the batter a little bit right now. Sitting at 5-11, but a nice showing against the Blue Jays. The way I see it right now is they're just highly inconsistent. There's still some big injuries, with Ronnie and with Spencer Strider, but get Strider back and see Acuna make some strides to be the everyday right fielder again. And I think we'll be in good shape. I think there's still a wild card up for grabs, and it stings a little bit to see, but it's not about how you start; it's about how you finish. So I think that's my biggest issue with the Braves right now. But I'm not gonna hit the panic button this early in the season.
Are you more worried about the Mets or the Phillies? Because the NL East is kind of tough. I mean, the Marlins still stink unless you're facing Sandy Alcantara, and then the Nationals are pretty bad, but they're still like an annoying bad team. But
yeah, that's definitely going to be the Nationals, especially with the young core of talent that they have.
they're like your guys' Pirates, like it's just like crap. Like you gotta, Mackenzie Gore is okay, and then you get James Wood and other guys in waiting or who are kind of on the rise, but it's still like an annoying bad team to play, if that makes sense.
But when we're talking about the longevity of the season, I would say that I'm more worried about the Philadelphia Phillies and what they bring to the table and the experience that they have more so than the Mets. And the experience that we have with the Mets is that they always find a way to met it up at the end of the season. So, Juan Soto's fit in nicely so far to this point, but we'll see how it goes for them for the rest of the season.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. I'm hoping the Mets are better than the Yankees. Like the Yankees had the torpedo bats off the rip, and then since then, Jazz Chisholm's like 2 for 31 or something, hitting I don't know. The Yankees just have that cockiness to them. Stroman got lit up the other day. It's nice to see.
Who's the team in the league right now that you're surprised is having a good, the opposite of the Braves? If I were to ask a team that you were surprised about having
honestly, the Giants. They're scrappy, and they're always kind of a thorn in the side team, but they're playing good ball. I think, and Verlander hasn't been throwing well at all yet. So I think he's still got a little left in the tank. It's not going to be the same Verlander, but they kind of worry me a little bit. They're a trap team, and playing in San Fran is always tough. So I think they're pretty fun. And Logan Webb is, top 5-6 pitcher in baseball, in my opinion. He should honestly probably be on our World Baseball Classic team, too. I wouldn't want to draw them. It's honestly surprised me a little bit to see the Brewers struggle, too.
You're surprised to see them struggle?
Yeah, just because they've won the division so many years in a row.
Right.
And, with nothing. But I think it's slowly catching up to them. Not paying Corbin Burns. Woodruff being pretty much dead. Freddie Peralta kind of didn't take that large step. He kind of like Jesus Luzardo. Which I still think Luzardo's a stud. And same with Freddie Peralta. But, they never took that step to be the Jose Fernandez type talent.
Right. Well, there still are only 2 games behind your Chicago Cubs right now. It helps the Cubs. I was going to say the Tokyo series helped y'all, but really it didn't help you. That just gave you 2 losses to start the season.
No, we just had to play Yamamoto and Sasaki in their backyard.
Yeah, has Sasaki turned it around yet?
Yeah, he pitched pretty well against us. He went 5 or 6, gave up 2 or 3. I think he'll be fine too. He was okay in Japan. But obviously, the comfortability level, I think he'll be just okay. I think he's just a little nervous, honestly.
Well, our first text on the Jed Lawyer phone line comes from Tim Adams. He says, somewhere in the Grand Cayman, there's a multi-million-dollar bank account with Ohtani's interpreter's name on it. We'll end it off with a laugh. Hey, Max, thanks so much for giving us some of your time. We're about to talk some NFL draft with Tho.
Yeah, nice. You guys have a good one, and hopefully we can get together for the draft. I'd love to see the Bears maybe not draft a running back.
All right. Hey, there you go, man. I'm sure that we'll find a place to make that happen. Max Delight, and take care, brother.
Who are we taking? Who are you guys cut? Who are the Bears taking?
Who the Bears are taking?
Ooh. Who do you want them to take? What is there a specific position?
I don't know. I kind of just want to tail your guys' opinion.
I'll have one for you next week.
Yeah. I got to look down the list right now. The only thing that matters in the NFL draft is the number 1 pick, and then we'll move on to the number 2 pick. So we'll see what those Titans do. Hey, Max, thanks for your time, my friend, and we'll chat NFL draft with you next Tuesday.
Yes, sir. That sounds like a plan.
All right, Max Delight, ladies and gentlemen, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Coming up next, it's Tyler's brother, Tho Bishop, going to be on the line with us. Keep it locked in here to ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Atlanta Braves play here.
Here comes the thunder.
After a slow start, the Atlanta Braves are ready to launch.
Taking no prisoners. Braves win it in the bottom of the 10th.
Tonight, the Atlanta Braves host the Toronto Blue Jays. We'll have live coverage coming up from Truist Park at 6. First pitch at 6:07 right here on your home for the Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Tuesday afternoon. The remainder of the day, mostly sunshine and 77 with a moderate breeze around 13 miles per hour coming out of the west-northwest. For tonight, clear skies with a gentle breeze and a low near 57. Tomorrow, wind 5 to 10 miles per hour, sunny and a high around 73. For Thursday, sunshine and a high of 77. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Discover Kia at Bill Bird Kia. The road is yours. Let spring adventures begin in a brand new Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Stop by today and check out the 2025 SUV family. Take a test drive and see the all-new features that elevate any adventure. And now offering 1.9% APR for up to 60 months on the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sportage. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. Bill Bird Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBirdKia.PanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust at Bill Bird Kia.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sportage. $1,748 per month per 1,000 financed in 60 months. Qualities limited. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. Not available on balloon financing. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 4/30/25.
Now, we're live and local inside the CBC Construction Studios. Get the edge on the competition with the latest lines, expert picks, and everything you need to place your bets. Elevate your game day experience with ESPN Northwest Florida. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. ESPN Northwest Florida.
We are back in the doghouse, and you are in the CBC Construction Studios. I guess actually y'all are in the doghouse, and we're in the CBC Construction Studios. Go to cbcconstruction.com or give them a call at 850-747-3815. I'm David Hayes, along with Tyler Bishop and Caveman Rick, and ESPN Northwest Florida presents the Race to Talladega. You got to listen to the Coach James Hale Show in the mornings at 7:15 and 8:15. They're going to give you a code word of the day. When you hear the code word, text it and your racing name to 850-215-6290. Then you got to listen back at 12:40 on the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey and 5:40 with the Afternoon Underdogs. If we announce your name, race to the phones and call 850-215-6290. How long it takes you to call back is going to be your qualifying time, and the top two fastest qualifying times win the Race to Talladega and 2 tickets to the Jack Links 500 on April 27th. The Race to Talladega brought to you by PCB Hobby, Panama City Toyota, Buffalo Rock, Hampton Inn on Thomas Drive, and Home 2 Suites. Now we've got Tho Bishop on the line with us, and we're going to be talking some NFL draft here. Tho, how are you doing on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon?
Doing great. My favorite time of the year. Always like talking the draft.
Yes, sir. And you definitely, I love just coming up with questions for Tho because then I just let Tho and Tyler go back and forth and I just get to listen. Who would be the biggest surprise pick in the first round, Tho?
Oh, it's an interesting draft in that you've only got a handful of blue chip players at the top. And then really from around that, anything from about maybe the 5th, 6th pick down to maybe the 40th pick. There's a number of names that could probably be considered within a similar tier there. So some of the names out there, there's some wide receivers that I think might surprise some folks. Kyle Williams from Washington State is a guy who's not getting a lot of buzz, but I think there's probably some teams that might consider him, maybe the 2nd, 3rd best wide receiver on the board. That could slip in there. Maybe surprising considering the devaluation of running backs. There's some discussions of not just one, not just two, but maybe 3 running backs there, maybe one of the Ohio State guys. And so I think that particularly when it comes to skill position players where there's definitely demand for wide receiver, I think it's kind of flat in that pool. I think either a wide receiver popping up that people aren't talking about now, maybe one of the running backs jumping in the first round and not being talked about. I could see some of those being areas where people go.
Who's the best sleeper in the draft? Looking a little later in the draft here, rounds 3 through 7. We'll just skip ahead to Saturday and Sunday.
Well, day 3, I think it's going to be a lot of interesting players out there. Again, I think it's definitely a starter level draft in that regard. One guy I like, who's a kind of a quirky player, is a tight end out of Bowling Green, who is if you watch him play, like, he's got a really weird running style, but was one of the most productive players in the country this year, and that is Harold Fannin. He led the country in all the receiving yards, again, coming from the tight end position. Nobody was really paying attention to Bowling Green. So you hear a lot about Ty Ward, but you don't hear about Harold Fannin nearly as much. But there's a lot of very lateral quickness in that regard. He's a guy that, again, whatever team drafts him, again, probably be a third day guy for a number of measurables. He's kind of small. His athletics don't jump off the chart at you. But I think he's going to be this guy that if your team picks him on day 3, and you start seeing your Twitter feed blow up with highlights from him, I think that's going to be a guy that gets people excited.
Give me a player, though, that right now is getting too much hype.
Well, I think you could look at the quarterback position. Obviously, we've been hearing Shedeur Sanders, for a long time there. He's been discussed alongside Cam Ward, the number 1 pick. That seems pretty frozen at this point. There's a lot of talk about him going to New Orleans at 9, particularly with Carr's injury situation going on right now. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if he ended up sliding down a good bit. And nothing gets Shedeur Sanders. He's a very, very polished passer, but not particularly wow-worthy on any of the physical traits. So I think he's one of those names which is going to be, one of the big draws going in, the ESPN graphics and all that sort of stuff. But I think he's someone who actually fall a lot later than people think. I think that the wide receiver out of Arizona kind of started the draft process.
Yeah.
T-Mac. I mean, he's someone who was talked about as a potential top 10 pick early on. You kind of seen him slide down a lot of the big boards out there. I think there's some concerns about, does he always play as big as his frame would lead you to indicate? People want to make Mike Evans comparisons, and they watch him. They might see a little more Devontae Parker, which is a name not quite in the conversation there with Mike Evans. So again, he's another one guy that I think, and someone who had a lot of hype going into the process, who I don't think is necessarily checking a lot of those boxes. Wouldn't be surprised at all to see him slide down on draft night.
Got any questions for him?
It's like you said earlier, and I kind of heard this reinforced on NFL Radio the other day, that this is one of those drafts, like after the top 8 or 10, like it becomes a huge tier of guys that go anywhere. Do you think that leads to more or less trades?
Well, I think probably less trades because, you're giving up capital to get in front of someone. So I think it really comes down to questions of position scarcity. But that's the thing, is that in this draft, there's a number of tackles that are interesting prospects. After you get behind Will Campbell and you get behind the guy from Mizzou, there's definitely growing question marks that get with those sort of second tier offensive tackles. But if you really need one of those positions, maybe if you're expecting a run, there could be some trading there. I mean, the other side of it is that trading back could probably be cheaper than usual. So how much push is there to give up capital to go up? How much are teams willing to take whatever they can get if they have a lot of players kind of in a similar tier? So I think the teams that are interesting to watch are the ones that have a lot of draft capital with them going into the draft. The Browns have a lot of picks. The 49ers have a ton of picks. And so maybe those are some of the situations where a team, because they can trade up at a discount relative to other years, that have some extra capital, that have some specific position relative holes that they need to fill, and they want to get before a big run runs on the position. So I wouldn't expect a ton. I think particularly in the top 4 or 5, I don't think you're going to see a lot of movement. But I think Carolina is a team that would probably love to trade back if an opportunity is on the table, and I think a team like we always know Sean Payton loves burning picks. Denver might be a team that gets aggressive there, but I think it'd be cheaper than usual, and that might so going to be kind of interesting more position fits there if a team really has their eye on maybe a particular type of edge rusher or something like that. But I think for the most part, I'd be surprised if a lot of teams that don't have a lot of excess capital really feel the need to get aggressive.
From Ohio, Brad, as we're talking to Tho Bishop, you're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. He says the Browns GM keeps making statements to try and brace Browns fans for moving off of Nick Chubb. He says to look for the Browns to draft a running back. They're sitting there at 2. Though, do they take a running back at 2 or later on in the draft?
I feel like
or
probably
trade
won't be,
back?
Yeah, I think it probably won't be at 2. But there's a lot of interesting prospects out there right now in this draft class, and they got a lot of picks to take some swings there. Is running back in the second round. That's one of the interesting things. Like, you look at people ranking these running backs, and they usually go like 12 deep in terms of their rankings. I mean, you're looking at possibly 20, 25 draft eligible running backs. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people sitting there in the 4th or 5th round with pretty, it's going to get to the point where you're going to be the highest number there. So I think that's going to be one of the interesting conversations with the running back position, which even might influence Genty, right? Like if Genty, one of the blue chip players in the draft, definitely one of those top 4 players, but just think of the marginal value. If you're feeling pretty comfortable about, the guy from Iowa, if you're feeling, there's a guy from Taj, guy named, first name Taj from, Texas Tech, who is kind of graded about a 4th, 5th round runner that has a lot of skill, a lot of ability. Is it better to take that premium position whose next contract is going to be worth a lot more than what a second contract running back is going to be? So where Genty falls, I think, will be interesting, measuring demand there for that position as a whole, and then how other teams fill that up. But the good thing, though, is if your team that needs a starting running back, you can find those guys on day 3 this draft with how deep that position is in particular. And at that point, it's going to be more of a choose your flavor. Who do you think best fits your specific blocking scheme, your running scheme, and things like that. So this is a good draft and need a running back going into it.
So I know we talked a little bit about Sanders kind of falling a little bit. I'm looking at a mock draft. It looks like it may have him completely out altogether over there on the Underdog Network. Do you think 2.5 quarterbacks over under?
I like the under there. I think Sanders, again, what surprised me at all, if Sanders dropped out of the first round. I think as a talent, he justifies that. I think Pittsburgh probably has a demand there, even if they sign Aaron Rodgers. I don't, have a hard time imagining Pittsburgh passing on that, but his arm strength in Pittsburgh, maybe not a great fit. I know some people are trying to push Jackson Dart up there in the first round. I just don't think he's a first-round quarterback. And the problem is you take a quarterback in the first round, you're married to him. You miss on that.
At least for 4 years, and then you can divorce.
Yeah, yeah. And so, but it's a lot easier to take that swing in the second round. So, usually we haven't seen a ton of second-round quarterbacks, Will Levis being one of the exceptions there. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if Will Milroe, some of those guys go second round, taking a swing. More than the first.
Back to the Jed Lawyer phone line. Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State, going to be a star in the NFL. He says his name will end up going down with the likes of Gronkowski, Travis Kelce, and Tony Gonzalez. What do you think of Tyler Warren out of Penn State?
Warren's a great player, but I think he's an interesting. He's not a Gronkowski in the extent that he's not a dominating blocker. He's a willing blocker, but I think people overstate his blocking ability just because of his size. But obviously a great playmaker. I mean, someone who did a lot of things for Penn State. I mean, he was a gigantic chunk of that offense. But don't be completely surprised if Colston Loveland from Michigan actually jumps him in the draft. I know that would be, you can make money off of that prediction right now. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if people see more upside with Colston Loveland, and he's actually probably a better blocker than Warren going into it. It probably has more upside as a receiver. Again, none of this is to diminish Warren. He's a great prospect there, but I'd kind of be surprised. I think he's getting talked about as a possible selection up in the Jets and number 7. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he's a little bit closer in the teens there. And again, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Loveland ends up going ahead of him. Again, nothing against Warren. Those are the 2 best tight ends there. They're definitely tiers above the rest. But I think Warren is. He's not a Gronkowski type in terms of the physicality that he brings to the other side of the position outside of simply offensive production.
So I got a couple of minutes left here, and I'm sure that you can eat this up. Give us some of your best values as it stands right now for some of the for some of the drafts in the first round.
Well, again, if you need edge, if you need defensive line,
betting values, though. Betting values.
Betting values out there. Well, I think particularly pick 5, a lot of people are kind of penciling in Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of Michigan there. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they end up going edge, Jalen Walker or something like that. there. The interesting thing with betting odds is that they end up kind of tightening up a bit in the process now. I was able to get some decent value from War at 1 and things like that. They definitely tighten up there. The one thing I would bet on is some of the signal or some of the noise out there would be taking a flyer on some of the long shot wide receivers. I could see teams having Luther Burton as the number 1 wide receiver on the board, and if wide receivers slide, then maybe you go after a Luther Burton because of his raw playmaking ability. I mean, he's kind of compared. I mean, he's just an incredible athlete with the ball in his hands. So I think you can get 50-1 odds on the site that I use. With him being the first pick taken there, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Mikael Williams gets picked higher than that in terms of the second defensive lineman off the board. You can get pretty good value there as well. Again, that would require him going above the Michigan defensive tackle, but I think that's a long shot worth taking. So I think those positions where, again, I think it's pretty. Don't bet on quarterback. There's no money to be made there. But I think some of those positions like wide receiver, don't bet against Alshon Jinte as the first running back. But go for the higher. I think throwing some darts, some of the high payout things in terms of the wide receiver position in particular are. I think that's where there's the most uncertainty there, which you can profit from potentially.
All right, Tho, what do the Titans do at number 1?
Well, I hope you got your Cam Ward jersey ready.
All right, that'll make it quick and easy. Though, looking forward to chatting with you more as we get closer to the NFL draft. Lots of fun, man, and you do a great job covering it. And it's a lot of fun having you and your brother on the radio at the same time. Though, we'll catch up with you soon. All right, bud?
Sounds good. Always appreciate it.
All right, Tho Bishop, ladies and gentlemen, and he is kind of like our NFL draft aficionado. Tyler is our college football prognosticator. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll kick hour number 2 off with a little trivia and, of course, Tuesday's Takes with Tyler.
Do you suffer from political talk radio fatigue?
We know that under the 49% rate,
And tune into the most fun and exciting new radio show on the Gulf Coast. It's The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. From the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios. Middays 11 to 1 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Tuesday afternoon. The remainder of the day, mostly sunshine and 77 with a moderate breeze around 13 miles per hour coming out of the west-northwest. For tonight, clear skies with a gentle breeze and a low near 57. Tomorrow, wind 5 to 10 miles per hour, sunny and a high around 73. For Thursday, sunshine and a high of 77. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Visit the newly remodeled Mid-South Lumber Hardware and Feed Store in Youngstown. They have a full line of plumbing, electrical, hardware, and tools for your DIY home projects, as well as lumber and animal feed. Now offering not only baby chicks and a full line of poultry supplies, but also bunnies and parakeets. They also carry a wide selection of Dublin wines and gourmet products so you don't have to drive to the beach. Come see us at Mid-South Lumber on Highway 231 in Youngstown.
If you spend any time at all in your yard, you're going to encounter fire ants.
We know they can ruin a party. That's why we're this area's experts at fire ant elimination.
As your certified top choice professional, we will rid your yard of these unwanted invaders. Brock Pest is so sure they'll get rid of fire ants that they offer a 1-year guarantee.
Enjoy your yard fire ant free. We guarantee it. Give us a call for your free consultation.
Brock Lawn and Pest Control, our family protecting yours since 1968.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
That's out of the ball.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
You found us inside the CBC Construction Studios. They're number 1 in the men's room.
I hope this place comes with toilet paper.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Oh, geez, this is going to be a photo finish.
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
It is hour number 2 live from the Doghouse here in the CBC Construction Studios. Go to cbcconstruction.com or call them at 850-747-3815. As we've mentioned quite a few times, they are looking for employees. So go to cbcconstruction.com and fill out an application. Also, we are taking your phone calls this afternoon on the Jed Lawyers phone line. You can text or call 850-215-6290. The race to Talladega coming up at 5:40, so make sure you keep your phones locked on you. We'll try to leave today at about 5:38 to get right back on at 5:40, but I don't want anyone to start getting accustomed to us taking timely breaks. That's not how we do things here on the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with Tyler Bishop and Caveman Rick here in Braves Country on ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. All right, Tyler, I gave you a whole hour, and we didn't even really dip our toes into it except for maybe about 5 seconds when Max was sounding like a robot. The Nico Imalava situation, just start where you want to start, man. It's a wild situation. For those of you who don't know, he was the quarterback over there at Tennessee. Last year was the second year.
Was his first time as first year
as a starter. Yeah. He signed a 4-year, $8 million contract, essentially not a contract. There was a NIL deal for 4 years.
Allegedly.
$8 million. And Nico this offseason, right before the spring game, I guess there was communication between both teams, said that he wanted to go up to $4 million a year. And Josh Heupel in Tennessee said, nope, that's not going to cut it. Nico skipped the spring practice. It wasn't the spring.
He was already sitting out of practice.
Yeah, he was already sitting out of practice. And they said, we'll part ways here, and you can go try to find your money elsewhere. Go get the bag from another university or another football team. Your thoughts on the situation?
Man, I think this story was kind of breaking. I want to say it was like last Friday.
Yeah, it was.
And I about called into the show, and I was like, nah, I'll touch this on Tuesday. But it's funny because starting off, all this started like Thursday afternoon, I think, and his dad comes out, adamantly denies it, calls the writer a liar on Twitter. All this other stuff. I don't know where you're getting your facts from. None of this is true. And literally within like 24 hours of that tweet, Josh Heupel comes out and basically says, hey, we're moving on from Nico. And it's funny because, and I started saying this before we got Max back on the line, is like Nico was one of the first big-time premier NIL recruits. Like he got, he was one of those guys, he's getting $8 million to go to Tennessee. Well, how's that contract really structured? I think we kind of figured out or learned that it was kind of $8 million over 4 years. Obviously, he probably didn't expect to be there for 4 years. He's hoping to be a 3 and done. And there was probably some escalators. Like it was probably 1.5 the first year. I think he was supposed to be about 2.5 this year.
Somewhere around 2.
So obviously, it wasn't a flat 2 across the board. But I mean, the problem is like from a team perspective, like his stats in the SEC were average at best. Yeah. When he was playing in conference, it was average. Like they had some great numbers against the nobodies they played.
He really didn't have great numbers. He was over 300 only one time. He had 2,600 yards, 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Like not a whole lot of rushing yards to go along with it.
He was not a game changer for them. I mean, he just simply wasn't. He had some boneheaded plays. One of the plays that helped him cost the game against Arkansas. He just wasn't a game changer. And then he's out there demanding more money going into spring practice. Allegedly, if you believe Josh Pate, guy that works for CBS Sports, big on Twitter, he said like Nico was having contract things. Going into the playoff game at Ohio State, allegedly. Like, he was demanding more money going into that game.
There was guys saying that they were going to sit out the playoff game.
If they didn't get more money. So, like, if he was really one of those guys, then that's a huge concern in and of itself as well. But I think part of it was probably his dad pulling the strings a little bit, and maybe he got caught up in it. But at a certain point, you're a 20-year-old guy. Like, you have to kind of stand on your own 2 feet a little bit. And allegedly, again, a lot of this is allegedly. I keep saying that because I don't know the facts for sure. We'll never probably know them. Apparently, Dan Lanning was one of the coaches that reached out to Heupel and be like, hey, like, Nico's shopping himself out, just so you know.
Yeah.
We're not paying him.
Do you think Dan did that as kind of, I mean, do you think that was more looking out for Heupel, or was it more, if I tell Heupel this, he's going to, it's going to cause disruption there, and that's a team maybe that you don't want to see them having success? Or do you think he had a...
If I'm being perfectly honest, I don't think Dane Lanning is particularly worried about Josh Heupel's system.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen what Kirby's done to it every year. Dane Lanning was there for a year or two against it. I think Lanning's probably confident in calling a defense that can slow down that O. I think it's mostly just, I think Dane Lanning, maybe in that same cloth of Kirby Smart and Nick Saban, in that they are guys who truly love college football as a sport and are tired of some of the shenanigans going on. And hey, like, I'm tired of players who were supposed to be, he's supposed to be a starting quarterback for a potential top 12, top 15 preseason team, and he's out here shopping himself in spring practice. I can see Dan Lanning as being a guy who hates the thought of that as a whole. Doesn't want it to happen on his team, doesn't want it to happen on others. And maybe it was just like, hey, like, maybe if one or two of these things blows up, this guy's holding out for more money, and now he gets less at whatever school he's going to, and he's going to go to a non-contender more than likely. Maybe some of these kids will have second thoughts before going and seeing another situation like this. Obviously, there's a House ruling going on and all that stuff that will hopefully help negate some of this anyway. But in the short term, like, hey, maybe if we call out one kid, others will think twice about doing it.
Yeah, we'll see. Caveman, you have any thoughts on this situation and how it's unfolding?
Other than, like, I'd like to see, or can't wait for the inverse to happen. When a school decides to tell, like, a starting quarterback, hey, you didn't produce so great this past season, now we're going to cut your NIL money down to half of what we were giving you. You know what I'm saying? And see how that flies and see if they still want to stay, or, like, test the waters. Because you have to know this is going to happen. I mean, a lot of these guys, let's face it, they're mercenaries. I mean, they're like, have cleats, will travel, going to the highest bidder, and that's what they're caring about. They're not caring about team. They're not caring about the school. They're not caring about the coach. That used to be at least a little bit somewhat of like a pseudo kind of a thing. Everybody knew it was kind of fake, but like at least there was a little bit of posturing there to kind of make it look like it was happening the right way. Now, I mean, you can just tell. I mean, if you're off, they're threatening to withhold your services for like a playoff game for more money. I mean, what's next? We're really going to have somebody probably 5 minutes before a game starts, pull themselves off the field or out of the game and not start for a school because of something like this. And then when that really happens, I mean, then there's really going to be a mess, because not only are you dealing with like, national championship kind of implications and stuff like that if it happens at a playoff game, but then, I mean, I hate to say this too, but because of legalized gambling, then you got all the gambling stuff that's going to come out about it and whatnot. So it's just a slippery slope, and they really got to do something about this kind of stuff to make sure junk like this doesn't happen. And it would think to start, like, when you're writing in these things, have clauses like a real, contract where, like, if you do certain things, it negates this or makes this like, not viable anymore.
But that's where the issue lies, right? Is until they make it to where you can come up with contracts and have them sign, and it's essentially the university paying for the athlete to come, they're going to be in this situation, and the only thing that you can really do is say, if you want more money, you're going to have to go somewhere else. And when you transfer at this point in time of the year, there's not a whole bunch of schools out there. Like, what was the list? USC, UCLA, North Carolina, and Tulane, I believe. Yeah. And North Carolina's pulled out. UCLA is where his, I believe, younger brother or older brother, younger brother, Madden.
Yeah.
Was previously committed to, but ended up going to Arkansas. North Carolina pulled out. USC makes the most sense. Do they have the $4 million? Do you want to be Lincoln Riley? Do you want to be that coach who gives him $4 million and kind of continues the availability of this for certain players?
I mean, at a certain point, if you're a head, especially a coach like Lincoln Riley, who needs a win,
right?
Like,
is it about the clubhouse of college football coaches, or is it about USC and what happens for Lincoln Riley?
His job ain't nearly as secure as Dan Lanning. He can I'm not gonna say he can afford it. He's much more likely to gamble on this type of guy. So, I mean, allegedly they came out and said they may not be interested. I heard Texas Tech was one of the schools that was contacting him before he left. They've got some big NIL money over there. So it'll be interesting. But I think the problem is he's going to end up going to a lesser school, not competing. I don't think it's the worst thing for his draft potential, because I don't think Heupel's offense translates particularly well to the NFL. So I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. I don't think this is a great look for him as a whole.
Yeah.
I do respect Heupel for standing his ground and be like, all right, ciao. Like, we'll catch you on the flip side. I do respect that. It's hard to do, at this juncture. I mean, Josh Heupel's job is just as much on the line as anybody else's, and to let the guy like that walk, I think he probably earns some respect from his fan base.
I think
earned respect from everybody.
Yeah.
Should buy you some more time as a head coach.
Yeah,
now you got a legitimate concern like, hey, I don't have the starting quarterback I thought I was going to have.
And maybe he knew this year was going to be kind of bad, and this kind of gives him an out. You know, I'm not saying. No, Heupel.
Oh, okay.
Like maybe he knew this was an 8-4 type team, and I'm not saying he did, but if he did and he let this happen, like, oh, we go 8-4, 7-5, oh darn, it's because of everything going on. Yeah, it does help out a little bit. He does probably get a free pass from the AD, the fans, and everything this year, no matter what. I'm not saying he was expecting it,
right?
But it's always a possibility. So I can't. I'm not surprised we eventually saw one of these. It's just wild that it happened, and he can't go in the SEC because of the transfer rules. So
well,
it's
something that Brian and Steve had brought up yesterday. Yeah, he can't go to the SEC, but could an SEC team potentially say, "We'll meet your requirements," and you sit out for a year?
I mean, he could. If
would a team do that, though?
I don't know if that'd be in his best interest to sit out a year. I mean, I think at this point, obviously he's about the money, so I think he's trying to get the NFL as quick as possible, and sitting out a year is not the way to do that.
But maybe it doesn't right now, but it should, where scouts are looking at if you're that age holding out, and then you get to this.
You got to think, though, too, you're going to get good exposure playing at a school like Tennessee. Yeah. Now you're leaving there, and you're going to go to a lesser program that's not going to get the kind of media exposure on Saturdays that a Tennessee is going to get.
Unless it's USC, then he'll get the exposure.
Well, then you'll get it there. But then, so that on top of that, like, you're not improving your draft stock because nobody's seeing you play.
Yeah. It's a slippery slope. Like I said, if I was him, I probably would not have signed with Heupel in the beginning, assuming you want to be an NFL quarterback. I just don't believe Heupel's system translates to the NFL all that well. That's a whole different discussion for another day.
I mean, Joe Milton
was chasing money, though.
But
he's not thinking about that. He's chasing dollars.
But it's just it's crazy. Like, as a Georgia fan, I have to laugh at the fact that it's happening to a school like Tennessee, a traditional divisional rival. Obviously, the SEC got rid of division, so it's kind of funny that it's happening to them as a Georgia fan. As a college football fan, I hate that it's happening at all. But I do respect Josh Heupel and the AD and everybody else basically telling him to shove it.
Yeah, and he took a stand, and a lot of people were happy to see him take that stand. 11 of those 19 touchdowns we were talking about came against Chattanooga, UTEP, and Vanderbilt. He was 8th in the SEC in yards per attempt.
If he wasn't looking to double his money and get that much of a raise, I mean, like, if it was less money, like not taking less money, but more money than what he was getting, maybe would they have done it? You know what I'm saying? Double, they might be shying away from. He asked for a couple, like another $1 million maybe. Maybe they do it, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
$1 million, it's so wild that we're just throwing those around like it's George Washington.
Well, $1 million is nowadays is like that for a lot of these people, man.
For sports,
$1 million isn't what it used to be. Man,
but all right, but there's a big difference in this sports contract when I get like Carson Beck and these guys getting the money, but they haven't proved nothing. Carson Beck, what has Carson Beck proved? Yeah. Like all of these guys who are getting top tier money, it's different if you're seeing like Johnny Manziel has the year that he has and then boom, all of a sudden explode. But before you really have a name, image, and likeness to sell, like why are we giving them $4 million, $2 million? And I get it, that's what it is. I'm not.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. I'm just saying it's wild to me that it's like, well, if he would have only asked for $1 million and not $2 million, maybe that. And I'm not saying that you were saying it like that, but that's how I'm hearing it.
But it might be.
Yeah, but even that, it's like, dude, right now, what your focus needs to be at this point of the season is how are we going to get to 11-2 and not 10-3, and how are we going to? Because the thing where Nico. If he goes to USC, he's not going to have the defense that he had. That was the reason why they had a 10-3 season. He's not going to have the run game in front of him, more than likely. I don't know what their running backs look like, but just going off of the recent history from USC, where it's you got to have, they need that dog at quarterback, and they haven't had that. That's what Lincoln Riley has always been successful for, but even when they had the number 1 pick in the NFL draft and Caleb Williams, he wasn't able to do anything with that. So I don't know how in the world that's going to change when you go from Caleb Williams to if the USC was to go out and get Nico. I just don't think it's going to work. And if I'm a team, unless I'm the risk reward for Lincoln Riley does make sense for him to go after that. But then if he falls on his face, if you're USC, it's like we've got to get rid of this. Has been embarrassing. If I'm USC, to have the run of quarterbacks that you kind of have had, Miller Moss even. Yeah. Right, he was supposed to be special, but then over there at USC, and then now we're gonna kind of be the laughing stock of like, look what Tennessee did, and then look what what USC does.
Yeah, no, it's really kind of funny when you put it that way with Lincoln Riley. He's had number 1 pick Baker Mayfield, number 1 pick Kyler Murray, number 1 pick Caleb Williams, and then Jalen Hurts is basically his quarterbacks for 90% of it. Hasn't won a single playoff game.
Yeah.
Just kind of funny when you think about like the talent he's had at quarterback. It ain't done jack with it. But like I said, if you're Lincoln Riley, you care more about keeping your job if you want to. I mean, I'm assuming he does. But and then Nico is a West Coast guy. I think that's why USC and UCLA kind of make a lot of sense there. And I'm going to laugh pretty hard when he ends up A, making less money, and B, it just ends up being kind of, because I wouldn't at this point. Wouldn't be surprised if he makes less money than he was going to make at Tennessee.
If you're the school who does get him, who does land him, if you will, do you try your hardest to keep? Listen, we're not talking about nothing. I'm giving you a McDonald's bag of this amount of cash, or do you make it known?
I think at this point, I think you have to come out and say how much it is to an extent, because you don't want to be the stooge, like you were just saying, that paid $4 million for this guy.
Yeah.
If I first of all, I think he's going to make less money. And if I'm them, I come out and say as much as you legally can, leak it out, however. And if you get him for half the price, then all of a sudden it looks kind of like a shrewd business deal. And I mean, and not to mention it also helps the universities. Like, hey, this guy was making 2.4, left because he wanted more, and made half that this year. Like, it's a bargaining trip for universities moving forward as well. Like, hey, you can try to leave, but not everybody's going to. And because like he is being made out to be this NIL pariah at this point, for better for worse, Nico is probably taking a lot of blame for the NIL situation that is not his fault. And like, he did not make the rules. He didn't come up with this system.
Right.
I'm not saying his negotiation isn't his fault, but like, the system as it is not his fault.
Right.
He's just trying to play the game just like everybody else.
This is how he grew up, and this is the game that they.
But like, as kind of like I said at the very beginning, like, he was one of the first big NIL recruits. Well, now he's one of the first big NIL like bad stories.
Yeah.
And so he gets, for better or for worse, he gets a chance to be like the example that every university can use now. And so I don't think it's going to work out very well in his favor.
Yeah.
I think like. I'm not saying it's the similar situation to Colin Kaepernick, but there's the whole, like, everybody kind of colluded on the Colin Kaepernick thing.
Yeah.
You can't tell me these universities aren't be like, hey, let's blackball, let's lowball this kid. He can go wherever.
Yeah.
But if anybody offers him over 1.5, like, we're going to rat you outside. You know what I'm saying? Like, make him take a pay cut publicly to a lesser school, and now all of a sudden these guys start reconsidering some of these options.
Maybe they start following line a little bit better.
Maybe. Like, all of a sudden now you've got a cautionary tale. Hey, you don't want to be the next Nico. Renegotiate your deal. We let you walk, and you don't have a market.
But I think this would be so different if Nico's numbers were, when you looked at him, you're like, oh, this guy's.
They would have paid him then.
Right.
I think that's part of the problem. It's like,
and the schools have an advantage here. It's not like the NFL where you have, like, you know, your training camps, right?
Yeah.
And then preseason where somebody can get hurt, and then last second you need a quarterback now, and now all of a sudden your stock elevates because now you're available and somebody needs you. What's, like, you know, biggest like necessities, like somebody wanting you, right?
Mm-hmm.
To drive the price up, like supply and demand. Because of the way transfer portal works, he can't do that. He can't wait until, like, you know, a few weeks before the season, see somebody gets hurt, like in practice or something, and now have a ship to jump to, in a sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's already got to have it figured out. So you really kind of have to know what you're doing ahead of time. And like you're saying, Tyler, like, man, you better think twice about it, because, I mean, you could have been sitting there making a pretty nice paycheck if you were just content at Tennessee. And now because you're getting greedy, yeah, you might not get nothing.
Oh, the portal's actually technically not even open right now.
Okay.
April 16th, so that'll be tomorrow, and it closes on April 25th.
And also, like, we've seen, like, if you watch a Tennessee game, you've seen Tennessee's offense. It's not traditional by any, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
Right.
But, like, everything Nico's been learning for the last 2 years now is basically irrelevant.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because their recs, their checks, their reads are so much different than probably any other offense he's going to go to, because I don't think there's that many hypo guys on the West Coast, or guys who run a similar system. So now he's coming in late, no spring practice, learning a brand new offense, different reads, different. Like, and I know quarterbacks do that in the NFL all the time and whatever else, but you're not getting to that spring ball now. You're not getting that time to build relationship with the receivers as much. You're not getting as much time to learn the playbook. So he's kind of going in behind the eight ball against wherever he goes. And like I said, it's a weird situation all the way around. I hate that it's happening to him. I hate that it's happening for college football as a whole, but maybe it's a good thing in the long run.
You know, I think Colorado would be a good. I think Brian and Steve were talking about this yesterday, but the more that I think about it, and especially if it goes the way that you're wanting it to go, or the way that you can see it going, where he doesn't get that, even he doesn't even get $2 million, he doesn't even get what he was getting.
Yeah.
But I think that's a guy who can break through to him to an extent, right?
I do like the idea of Deion being able to come out and be like the knight in shining armor of the situation.
Yeah,
I think Deion would love that role.
I think he would too.
If we're being honest, Deion's a showman. He's a salesman. So like I think but I mean they do have I think they brought in they brought in a quarterback in the portal. Yeah. I don't think it was the guy from Liberty. I think that's the guy that went to Oregon, Salter. But I think they did bring in somebody. They have Juju Lewis, who was he was supposed to be the top kid in the 26 class, ended up reclassifying to 25, which I'm against as a whole also.
Salter went to Colorado as well.
Salter went to Colorado?
Yeah, and Julian Lewis.
Okay, so there may have been a different guy that went to maybe it's a different guy that went to Oregon maybe then.
They had the kid last year from UCLA.
Yeah, I thought they got that. Maybe I was wrong there, obviously. But, so, I mean, you already did bring in a guy. Do they have the budget, for lack of a better word, to bring this kid in? But I could see Deion being like, oh, I saved this kid from, whatever. And that could be part of Deion's thing. Because that's, if we're being honest, Deion loves to talk about Deion. And, I mean, people love to talk about Deion because he's always being talked about, which is why the contract Colorado gave him makes sense because free advertisement.
This is AI overview here, but Jaron Kiwi Saga Polatele is a 5-star signee. He's entered the transfer portal. Yeah. Oregon is considering Nico, who has also entered the portal, but I didn't think that they were...
If Oregon was legitimately the team that turned him in, I have a hard time believing that they would turn around and sign him. Of course, maybe Lanning wasn't the guy. Maybe it came away a different way.
Maybe Nico was trying to get somewhere else, and then Dan was like, "I'm going to go ahead and try
you're not signing with me? We'll change that real quick."
Try to get you to waddle on this way over to the Ducks. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll get to trivia when we get back and continue on talking college football. If you have any topics you'd like to talk about, text them to us on the Jed phone on the Jed Lawyer line, 850-215-6290. We'll be right back.
Boom! A 2-run home run!
The Atlanta Braves are back.
Here comes the throw! It's late! Braves win!
And ESPN Northwest Florida is your exclusive radio home for Braves country.
He just wrecked that thing! Straight away center, a homer for Riley.
Sales, Strider, Acuna, Ozzie, Riley, Profar, and Coach Snitker lead a stellar lineup. Listen live nights and weekends on ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Tuesday. For tonight, clear skies and a low of 57 with a gentle breeze around 11 miles per hour coming out of the north. Tomorrow morning, sunshine with temps around 70. In the afternoon and evening, sunny with a gentle breeze and a temperature near 73. Moving into Thursday, about the same with a high of 77 and sunny. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Here at Tracy's Fine Jewelry, we're here to help you celebrate the graduate in your life with a personalized gift that expresses who she is to that special touch that symbolizes her style. Tracy's Fine Jewelry has a perfect gift that's as unique as your graduate, including monogram milestones that will personalize her style with a special touch that she will cherish for a lifetime. Let's celebrate the class of 2025 with a gift from Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Tracy's Fine Jewelry, putting a sparkle on Bay County for over 50 years.
Whether you're an experienced investor or first-time buyer, Beach House will provide you with top-notch service to guide you through every step of the process. We make the real estate process fun and easy through effective marketing, strategic advertising, and always a client-focused experience. From single-family homes to full-scale developments, Beach House Sales Development has you covered. Check them out at beachhousesalesfl.com or give them a call at 850-919-3500.
Live and local inside the CBC Construction Studios. Hot takes, the latest trades, in-depth interviews.
That is my reaction.
We break it down for you right here.
Very big springboard for the rest of my career.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
That's the problem right there.
4.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
We are back in the doghouse in the CBC Construction Studios. Go to cbcconstruction.com if you're looking for a great job, or give them a call, 850-747-3815. 16 minutes until the race to Talladega. Keep your phones locked on to you, and then give us a call if we announce your name, 850-215-6290. How long it takes you to call back your qualifying time. We've got 2 seconds by Jackson State Jeff, and then I believe, I'm trying to think, who was it that we called yesterday, but they were at 5 seconds. Tell me the name on that list for yesterday's afternoon show. They're sitting at 5 seconds.
Paul Ricci.
That's right. Madman Paul Ricci.
Okay, Madman, that's what it says. I was trying to figure out what the name was.
Yeah, but Paul Ricci there, Madman Paul Ricci at 5 seconds. So you got to beat 5 seconds. Top 2 qualifying times. We'll be headed to Talladega, not only to the Talladega 500, but you'll also be going to the Arca Menard Series General Tire 200 and the Xfinity Series AG Pro 300. That's a doubleheader on Saturday. And if you call in when we call your name, you automatically get Cool Station Stash from Pepsi, Tommy's Express, and ESPN Northwest Florida. This contest brought to you by PCB Hobby, Panama City Toyota, Buffalo Rock, Hampton Inn on Thomas Drive, and by Home 2 Suites.
There's a game going on at Truist Park at 6 o'clock. Georgia versus Georgia Tech, playing in the Braves Stadium.
Oh, cool.
That'd be a pretty cool game to go to.
That would be a cool game to go to, man. Especially if you had ties to the if you were a fan of Georgia or Georgia Tech, but just to go see how cool is it for the baseball players to get there and play
in a home game for Georgia Tech, I'm guessing?
Probably. I know we're actually playing Georgia Tech in Mercedes this year. For football, so I think they've got some deals with the Atlanta pro sports.
That would be cool though.
They play some occasional games. I don't know if they get extra revenue or they can sell more seats in the dome than they can at their home field. I don't know about the baseball. I would assume it's probably bigger. Brave Stadium is probably nicer at least than
I would say
Georgia
maybe
Tech.
Nicer.
So maybe it's just a cool thing being both in the state of Georgia that it's easy to it's an easy way to sell tickets, get people there. With both being like local teams.
But that would be cool to have Georgia and Georgia Tech play at Truist, a football game on the baseball field. And we need that back, man. I just need at least one NFL stadium that doubles as a baseball stadium. You didn't like that?
Nah, I didn't like seeing the baseball stuff on the football field in like September, October.
I think
for me, didn't look right to me.
I think for me it was more because I was such a big baseball fan, because I love that. Plus seeing I don't think it was good for the game as far as the elements go, like going from dirt to grass and all of that stuff. And then if God forbid it's raining, right? Like you're just digging into the clay. But I think aesthetically for me it was pleasing.
That's cool. I mean, that's fair enough. Like I said, I'm like, I don't know, traditionalist, whatever. Yeah. I want to see a football field.
That is kind of traditionalist, right?
Well, like when they were sharing stadiums, back in the day. But like if I'm watching football, I want to see a football field. If I want to watch baseball, I want to see a baseball field. Like unlike, like watching baseball we're going to have later on, you're going to see it like on a NASCAR track, stuff like that,
Well, the baseball's not going to be all the actual NASCAR track.
No, but I mean, you're still going to see that like on the telecast that they're playing there.
See, sports combinations I like is like hockey and swimming, right? You just melt the rink. Trivia. Where is my trivia question? All right, this one comes in from LSU Jeff. August 11th, 2015 was a unique day across the Major League Baseball landscape. This was the first and only time that this has happened during the live ball era, and it involves every team in the league. What happened on that day? August 11th, 2015 was a unique day in Major League Baseball. It was the first and the only time that this particular thing happened during the live ball era, and it involves every team in the league. What happened on August 11th, 2015? For your chance to win a 12-pack of Buffalo Rock, $25 to not the, but that boot store, and a Golf Plus gift certificate worth $10.
So is that saying that every team played that day?
Every team played. Every team across the league. All 30 teams played on that day. 2015 we had and one thing happened across the line here, and it's only happened one time in history. And as Caveman Rick was saying earlier, how long baseball's been going on. Now, this is also in the live ball era, so it's not for eternity of baseball, but when the live ball started. And it's when you hear the answer, you're like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. But the fact that it's been the only time that this has happened is a little wild to me. I had no idea what it was when I saw the question, but then, you start reading the comments, and then boom, you feel like a daggum genius. 850-215-6290 to give us a holler on the Jed Lawyer line. All right, back to Nico here. But first, let's we left off talking about Colorado and Nico. Saturday, Colorado's going to be, did they already do this, or are they doing that this Saturday?
I think it's this Saturday.
This coming Saturday.
Well,
no, I think it would be this coming Saturday, right? Because I feel like I started hearing about
Sunday,
this.
So I don't know if I'm kind of surprised they'd have
the day before Easter?
Oh, I guess it'd be the Saturday. So yeah. I don't know why I was thinking Sunday, but anyway.
Colorado's gonna be retiring Travis Hunter's 12, Shedeur Sanders 2, and that's their first jersey retirement since Rashawn Salam.
Which would have been, early 2000s?
Yeah. Maybe early 2000s?
Maybe late 90s?
Maybe late 90s. I'm going to go late 90s, but his number 19. Is it too early to be retiring someone's?
Is it worthy enough? That's what I was wondering.
I'm 100%.
I mean, what'd you get, 8 wins?
I'm 100% on board with retiring Hunter. Guy won the Heisman Trophy. I think that's a fair reason to retire his.
That's fair.
And I think that goes across all college football. Guy wins a Heisman at your school. I have no problem with you retiring their number.
I don't think college football jersey numbers should be retired.
I think every school's probably got a handful. Like Georgia's got a couple.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying. I'm just saying my opinion on it is just because there's so many guys that come in. We've already got guys wearing on offense and defense wearing the same number and everything, and it's fair enough to retire their name.
That's fair.
I'm just saying I have no problem if you want to retire a Heisman winner's jersey, but Shedeur, I'm not saying he wasn't a good quarterback for him, but was he an all-time great quarterback for them? I don't know. I mean, I don't know their passing records and everything else, but they've had guys like Cordell Stewart back in the day. So maybe they've had some better success.
It's just more like I think if they're doing Travis Hunter's a legitimate reason, like you're saying, they're kind of having to do Shedeur in the sense that so Dion doesn't get ticked off and you know what I'm saying? I hate to do it, but it's to pacify the Sanders.
I really think this is just Dion keeping people talking about Colorado.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously retiring Travis Hunter, yeah, sure, cool. But you throw his son in there, and he gets everybody to talk about it for what? A jersey number?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And it's right on the heels of the draft, too, though, because that's going to be April 19th. So that's essentially...
It's not nepism, it's like broitism.
It's really, it's probably just a marketing stunt by Dion, if we're being honest. And it's working because we're talking about it. I mean, every major news outlet has probably talked about it. I've seen it on Twitter, seen it wherever. So, it gets people talking about Colorado. And, at the end of the day, yeah, he wants them to be good, but he's probably being paid just as much to keep Colorado in people's mouths as it is to win games on the football field.
But if you're Colorado, though, the president, AD, if you're alum and stuff like that, would that bother you? Because, you're getting talked about now kind of in a positive light. But, say Shedeur goes out to the NFL and, really just falls on his face. Won't this just look like clown shoes in a couple of years? Hey, look, you guys retired this guy's number, and what did he really do? It was questionable when you did it here in college, and then look at the NFL, how he turned out.
I guess if Dion's not at Colorado in 7 years when people are having this conversation, is anybody going to really care? Once they retire the jersey, is anybody really remember in a month that it happened, or is it just one of those things people talk about now?
It's right there in your face. You go to the games and it's Shedeur Sanders.
If you're a Colorado fan, But I think that there has to be something. Just because you and the head coach shared a last name, I don't think that there's a. And I think we're all on the same page there. Travis Hunter, I'm fine with. Again, digging a little deper. Rashawn Salam, by the way, graduated in '94.
Okay, so
early 90s. Yeah. We were very young at that point. And then Alabama they don't officially retire numbers. There's numbers and that's what I think college football should be. Not, and I'm not saying other universities can't retire them, but what they do is the number 12, that's a very important number. So if you get to wear this number, more responsibility on you or more lore with you. I like that way of doing it, but I don't like the fact that Shedeur Sanders, just because Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. Now, Travis Hunter, again, all right, look, if you're Colorado and that's your history, Travis Hunter should absolutely be in this situation.
Some guts to wear some of those numbers too. Like you're saying, if they don't retire them, because if there's been a long line, a tradition of a lot of greats wearing that number at your school, you put that on. You're like trying to say like
you put a target on your back.
You're one of these guys. You're him. You know what I'm saying? It's like anybody in like basketball want to wear 23. You know, you start thinking about that. It's like, you sure you want to wear 23?
It would be like going to New England and wearing 12.
Yeah,
right?
like you know who you can be getting compared to, right? So like, there's something to that. Like if you're wearing that number, you better come with it, because if you don't, man, people are gonna let you know about it.
I agree with you. Julian Sayin, former Alabama quarterback.
About, 2.5 weeks?
What's that?
He was in Alabama for like 2.5 weeks, I think.
Yeah, he wasn't there. Well, I think
it was like a week or two he was there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then he went straight over to Ohio State. Yeah. Well, he is the ending the spring as the leader in Ohio State's quarterback battle. But they got like 3 guys, I think, vying for that position right now. I think that's what's so crazy right now about the landscape of college football, where it's Cade Klubnik and Arch Manning. We don't even know. Yeah. You know what I mean? We don't even know what Arch Manning brings. We know what Cade Klubnik. Like, these are your top quarterbacks. That's what's so even more wild to me about the Nico situation, because you were one of the few quarterbacks in the SEC who's retaining their quarterback, and y'all were in pretty good shape last year.
Yeah, no, I saw a list the other day that had DJ Lagway as the #1 quarterback for this year.
I can,
and I think that's a bit over the top today. I don't think it would be. I mean, I think it's very possible we end next season and be like, oh yeah, 100% he's the best quarterback in the country. But then I was looking down the list, is like, I mean, you can make an argument for him over all these guys.
Yeah.
Because again, I think it's high for a preseason ranking, but if it's your projection for the end of the year, then it makes a little bit more sense. But like, you're looking at it like, yeah, Arch has played some, but not the full-time guy, not against the league
Nussmeier and LSU.
Nussmeier's been around. I mean, Nico had been around. Now he's, Klubnik has been around. There's, Aller at Penn State.
Yeah, I forgot about him.
Sold on him particularly either.
But if they get some wide receivers around him, maybe. He did not have good wide receiver help. That's the truth.
And he's losing Tyler Warren, which does not help either. But, I mean, you got Beck down in Miami who had his issues this year. You're looking across college football and you're looking for that guy, and I don't know who it is. I mean, granted, I don't know if anybody thought Cam Ward was necessarily going to be who he was this year. He had a lot of hype, but we had seen it before with players. So, like, there's always going to be a guy or two who comes out of relative nowhere.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody was expecting the season that Jaden Daniels had before going into his last year at LSU. Nobody saw what Joe Burrow was going to do his last year at LSU.
Their first year. So maybe Nussmeier.
So maybe that's it, or maybe it's a guy who is going into his second year at a new school, or just second year starting in general, because we have seen that blow up with some guys. But, yeah, like you're looking at the quarterbacks, and like Nico could have been. I mean, you could have argued that he was one of the best quarterbacks coming back in the country because of where he was, and now it's just, man, it does add a different element to that whole situation.
Do you think the move that Nico made to kind of stick with that subject? Why not? I've got plenty of questions over here. Do you think that what he did hurt or helped the NIL movement with that holdout?
I don't think it helps, because I think people don't love it from an outsider. Like, I think just in general, I think we've seen so much support for Hypo. I think that kind of shows you the general consensus of what people think about NIL. I don't think anybody's really against players getting paid. I think they're over some of the lunacy of it, like a guy like signing and transferring. Granted, Nick Saban retired. It's a little bit different situation, but like we saw Proctor, he left Alabama, went to Iowa, and then came back to Alabama before playing a game at Iowa. I don't think anybody likes, people.
I didn't even like that as an Alabama fan.
People don't love the guy, like the unrestricted free agency. At least in NFL or MLB or NBA, you get signed to a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 year contract, whatever the contract is, and you're stuck there. But with college football, you're stuck there for basically a season. If it's in the offseason, you can kind of come and go as you please. And I don't think anybody likes that. I mean, traditionally, that's not what college football was. I know it's never going back. I think everybody's accepted that. But I think everybody wants to see, like, you can transfer. If you transfer once, stay there for a year or two. Don't transfer in 3, 4, 5 weeks, 2 months. I don't think anybody likes that. And I think anytime we can see the schools gain a little bit of the power back in the NIL, I think everybody's in support of that.
I still think it should be a minimum of 2 years. And if you want big, I think if you're over, like if you're past the $1 million mark, it should be a 3-year contract.
I think you should be required, if you sign with a school in an NIL, quote unquote NIL, you should be stuck there for at least 18 months.
Okay.
So that gives you, if you're a freshman, you come in for the spring, you have to go through like a whole season, and then like you can't transfer before that summer. And then that puts you behind the 8 ball, so you're probably staying at least 2 years anyway. But if you're really miserable, you're buried on the depth chart, this, that, or whatever, it does give you a little bit of room to get out. But
I think anytime a coach leaves, you should have the opportunity to get out.
I'm 100% in favor of that.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody really is against it. But there should be, I mean, when you transfer 3, 4, 5 times, nobody wants to see that.
Right. I mean, this isn't try to play on 131
I saw just like some kids are out there just collecting tracksuits, one of every color tied TLA.
Hey, there you go. You can match with everything. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. When we get back, it's time for the race to Talladega.
Keep the game going with ESPN Northwest Florida. Just because you get out of the car doesn't mean the Sports Talk and Live play-by-play have to end. Just say, hey, Alexa, open ESPN Northwest Florida. From Michigan Avenue to the man cave, from the car to the kitchen, we've got you covered. Keep the game going. Hey, Alexa, open ESPN Northwest Florida.
Golf is a game that should be fun, but to have the most fun, you need to play your best. That's where the experts at Golf Plus come in. Their friendly staff will guide you through the buying process, answer all your questions, and can help with any repairs you need along the way. Golf Plus is your custom fitting, club repair, and golf retail shop. Golf Plus staff is non-commissioned and will work with you to find the best product for your game, just like they've been doing since 1988. Golf Plus in Dothan and Panama City Beach. Fitting, repair, retail. That's Golf Plus.
Your biggest investment is your home. Protect it while also improving its appearance with Earthworks of Northwest Florida. We have sand, mulch, gravel, or lay down decorative stone, all available for pickup and delivery. Discover your dream landscape with Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Imagine the moment you proudly pull up to your home that you've worked so hard for, enhanced by quality mulch, decorative stones, and more. Let's make it happen today. Request a quote online at earthworkspc.com or swing by the office at 2005 Industrial Drive. Love the land you live on.
MLB is incoming, and you won't miss a game. Introducing Scorpion TV. Over 5,000 live streaming channels. Catch every game of the season with over 100 sports networks, including ESPN, ESPN Plus, the NFL Network, and Red Zone. Even pay-per-view events. Watch 400 local network channels from Panama City and most major markets. Fox, ABC, CBS, and NBC. Just $45 a month with our promo code ESPNNW. Go to ESPNPC.com and click the Scorpion TV logo.
You found us inside the CBC Construction Studios. Don't call it a podcast.
Frequency modulation is a big step forward in radio.
Broadcasting live from the world's most beautiful beaches. The Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida.
It's that time. You're in the CBC Construction Studios. Go to cbcconstruction.com. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida. And this is the race to Talladega. The number you got to call if we call your name is 850-215-6290. This next racing name is a great racing name. Kathy Hendricks. Kathy Hendricks, you are now on the clock. The clock is ticking. You got to listen to the Coach James Hale Show mornings at 7:15 and 8:15. They're going to give you the code word of the day. When you hear that code word, text it and your racing name to 850-215-6290. Then listen back at 12:40 with the Inside Drive, 5:40 with the Afternoon Underdogs. When we announce your name, race to the phones and call that same number that you texted. How long it takes you to call back will be your qualifying time. You're going to be going to the Talladega 500. You'll go to the Arca Menard Series, General Tire 200, and the Xfinity Series race. All qualifiers also instantly get some great stuff here from Buffalo Rock, Pepsi, Tommy's Express, and ESPN Northwest Florida. We just got some new T-shirts in. Same old T-shirt concept, but new T-shirts nonetheless. The race to Talladega brought to you by PCB Hobby, Panama City Toyota, Buffalo Rock, Hampton Inn on Thomas Drive, and Home 2 Suites. So Kathy Hendricks, if you're listening, you're still on the clock. Give us a call on the Jed Lawyers phone line. Atlanta Braves coming up tonight after the Afternoon Underdogs at 6 o'clock for a 6:07 first pitch. First pitch going to be Spencer Schwellenbach going for the Braves. Has been nice to this point. He'll be taking on Kevin Gausman for the Toronto Blue Jays. Let's see if we can keep the win streak. Well, I guess we have to build the win streak because we lost on Sunday, but got the win on Monday, and we'll see how it goes this evening. Make sure you keep it locked into ESPN Northwest Florida. Did y'all see anything on y'all social media about the Braves reporter last night?
No.
man, I'm trying to think of what his name is. I believe it's Wiley, I think his first name is Wiley. So Brandon Gaudin and I believe the other guy's name is Chuck Nikowski. They're on the broadcast and they're talking to I guess like the sideline reporter. You know how in baseball, but they're up in the stands and whatnot. And he goes over to two girls and is talking to them about maybe becoming Braves fans, cheering for the Braves. And then Brandon Gaudin's like, well, you got about 4 or 5 innings to get their number and change them into Braves fans. And so he ended up getting their number live, broadcasting with him. He's like, the guys are in my ear telling me to get your number, and got their number and got one of the girls' numbers, didn't get the other girl's number, but still there's been backlash, like saying that's very unprofessional and whatnot. Okay, Merrick, what do you think about that? I mean, I wanted to play the clip, but I didn't have it lined up in time.
I don't see what's wrong with it. I mean, like, that's how Travis Kelce got Taylor Swift, right? They were talking on their podcast. He made some comment about
but this is on the Braves broadcast.
No, I understand that, but you're still like doing kind of like your job. You're still like somebody like notoriety. You're out there and putting yourself out there. And I mean, like, of course, use it for a perk. Like, what's wrong with that, man? Like, what, people jealous because you got her number and like they didn't? I don't know, man.
I thought it was lighthearted. I thought it was funny. I at first when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is you don't normally see these type of conversations, and you don't know what was said prior to them actually going live with that girl. Maybe they were kiki and ha-ha back and forth or whatnot.
I will say one thing. Okay, so it's wrong. Like, okay, if the girl was like at her job and she was like at the counter or wherever she worked, and then you're up there trying to talk to her and get her number, it's like you're holding her hostage. She's trying to do her job and she can't leave because she's on the clock. You know what I mean? But the rules are reversed here. She wanted to, they didn't like it, they could turn around, they could walk the other way, or something like that. So because of that, I don't. Nah.
I mean, personally, like if I was watching it, it wouldn't have bothered me. I would have probably laughed at it. That was kind of funny. I understand why people feel like it may not have been the best time or place for that to go. Like, but personally, it wouldn't have bothered me. But I understand why some people feel it's a little unprofessional. I guess I see it both ways.
Yeah, a lot of journalists were saying it was unjournalistic it was unprofessional as a journalist, and I don't know, man. I think that sometimes we get our underwear in bunches for no reason.
I just think
for no reason.
Too, if you're going out there and you're just trying to hit on every chick out there, just looking for a date or whatever is one thing. But if this is like a chick that like really like suits like your fancies,
it's like love at first sight, baby.
Like legitimately, like you had a thing for her, like she's your type or just whatever, and you knew like if you didn't like you'd have a regret later on that evening. Like, man, I should have talked to this gal. I should have got her number or whatever and didn't do it. And you're kicking yourself in the rear. Then maybe, you should do it. But, like, if you're just like a predator, then, of course, it's probably wrong,
Yeah. He didn't seem she didn't seem creeped out at all.
Yeah, well, that's all right.
How amazing would it be in like 2 years they get engaged or get married or something? How hilarious would that story be like at that point?
But she's Canadian, though, so probably not. No,
maybe she wants a green card.
There you go.
Be a citizen.
Get that dual citizenship, baby. Shout out.
It's cheaper to marry somebody here than pay those tariffs.
there you go. We got to give a shout out to Dave Neat. He was in the building with us, kind of watching the show, picking up his prize package for winning the March Madness bracket challenge here, the big bracket challenge for ESPN Northwest Florida. Got a cool $250. There's still whoever finished in second. It's ESPN fan like 731. I've got to find out who that is, and then and hope that they're telling me the truth, and we'll be able to go from there. Which I guess you could just show me on your phone that you're ESPN fan 731-0550, something like that. Sounds like I'm giving off a phone number. But, and then Steven Dunhoyos, you finished in third. So y'all get up with me, and we will get your prize package if no one has reached out to you from this point. And then also, do you remember that awesome call that we got Friday afternoon? I believe it was Friday afternoon. From Jim?
Okay.
He was playing trivia with us and just, was saying a whole bunch of nice things, and we were giving him the tips and all of that. He came in and picked up his prize package and just, got a little tour of the place and everything. And just, again, love meeting you guys. If you're listening, I love meeting you guys, and we appreciate all the kind words and all of that good stuff. 850-215-6290. Give us a text or call on the Jed Lawyers phone line. All right, which direction do we want to wrap up with? Oh, I do know I need to finish it off with our local scores here from yesterday in the high school school baseball district tournaments. Arnold was victorious over Godby in 5 innings, 13-3. Bozeman beat Mariana in a little bit of a squeaker, 5-4. South Walton, this one was way too close. It took them 4 innings to win 24-1 over Pensacola. The bats and everything else was working for them. And then Vernon beat Bethlehem 11-1. In high school softball, Arnold shut out Choctaw 16-0. Vernon beat Bay 11-9. Franklin over Bluntstown 8-4. Cottondale beats Weewaw 1-0. Walton over Freeport 4-1, and Holmes beats Altha 9-8. Anything that you want to leave the people with here? I know we got 8 minutes, but has there been anything burning on your mind this week, Tyler Bishop? I know that you were excited to talk about the Masters and watching the Masters, and you've watched some NHL, and obviously we've talked for about 40 minutes on Nico there, but anything else?
I mean, obviously the Nico thing, because when it was going on, it's like, this is the biggest college football news probably in a while. I mean, I know it's
since the national championship.
Since the national championship game ended. I mean, we've had some guys declare and stuff like that. You know, there's the whole
Bill Belichick,
Bill Belichick thing.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
Going to Miami. Like, there was some.
How about his girlfriend? Getting CC'd on all the emails. Jordan Hudson's her name. I think she's 24.
Yeah, something like that.
And we've talked about this, but now she's getting like a PR. She's like playing a PR role where she's getting CC'd on some emails, some of his emails, maybe all of his emails. I don't know about that. But she's telling North Carolina, like, don't make a big deal out of Steve, Bill's son.
Yeah.
Be like, we don't want to show the nepotism. Just talk about Steve's accomplishments. And it's just wild to see Bill Belichick kind of relinquishing control. He's like, it's college football. Who cares?
It is kind of funny because that was allegedly, again, I have to use the word again, but when he was first in talks with North Carolina, that was the rumor was that he would only sign with them if they make his son head coach in waiting. So and even if he didn't, I mean, it's his son. And granted, he was a coach in the NFL. He was a coach at Washington last year, but nobody, I mean, everybody's going to talk about it. I mean, nepotism doesn't necessarily, I mean, I know it has a negative connotation. I know it's simply used negatively, but hey, would he be at North Carolina if his dad was not the head coach there?
Yeah.
No. Probably not. I mean, not saying he wouldn't be coaching somewhere, but he's there because of his dad. And I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. I mean, obviously, to an extent, he probably wants to be his own guy. Maybe that's why he went to Washington. I know his dad got fired, which played a role in that. But, he could have waited to see if his dad got a job. But, he did go out to an extent on his own and try to do his own thing. And I don't blame him for wanting to work with his dad. His dad is considered one of the greatest NFL coaches of all time, if not the best. And obviously his career in college is yet to be determined. Probably won't be long enough to be considered anything major unless he were to win a national title in North Carolina in 2 or 3 years, which would be a wildly impressive feat. And I think at that point, man, that's amazing. Would you want to see that? Would you want to see Bill Belichick win a national title?
No.
Oh.
I think it would add such a great element to his story.
I don't real quick, I'll just make yeah, he had a lot of success in New England. Look at his career before Tom Brady, before New England, though. The guy was a loser. I think it'd be really interesting. I think it would. I don't know. Because I think we wrote it off so quickly when the rumors were out there. Everyone's like, oh, he doesn't want to coach in college, blah blah blah. And then it happened. It's like, oh crap, this is for real. I think if he were to come out and win, I think it'd be an awesome story.
Storyline for me would be Colorado versus North Carolina for the national championship, or just a playoff game.
Oh, Dion
I think I would.
Oh my goodness.
I'm someone who there's not many people that are, or storylines in general that I'm just gonna vehemently root against.
Yeah.
And so for Bill Belichick, would I be rooting for him to win it? No. But if the opportunity presents itself and it's not North Carolina versus Alabama in a playoff game of any sort, then yes, I think that would be a fun storyline to talk about. And then it's like, all right, after that, because the buyout, I think even coming up into this year is not that expensive. So the question all offseason, or if that were to happen, is is he going back to the NFL?
Yeah, I think his buyout this June, so in a month and a half, drops down to $1 million or something crazy like that. It's basically nothing for a sports fan, or even a bigger school if they want. And of course, nobody's going to sign him in June. But yeah, if you told me this year, sitting here today on April 15th, if you told me there's a 0% chance Georgia can win the national championship this year, but you could pick anybody else to win it,
would North Carolina be that team?
I don't know if they'd be my number one pick, but I can't think of anybody else I'd want him to win it more. I don't know.
All right, well, real quick, let's go over to the phone line. James, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. What do you got, bud?
I just had, a thought on the nepotism. A lot of people speak negatively about it, but, my point is, would you rather have a first-generation carpenter or a third-generation carpenter working on your house?
I'd rather have a robot working on it. Absolutely. It is a great point, a third generation.
I'm a fourth-generation machinist, and right now I program robots.
Oh, wow. So look, then I'm calling you. I think one of the things, or the way that I look at it is, if someone, you can tell when someone, even if they didn't deserve it when they first got it, you can tell by year 3 or so that they're going to get better, that they kind of belong. So we see it in broadcasting all the time, but then we also see other times where people get the opportunity and it doesn't work out. So I don't really have a big problem with nepotism when it's deserved nepotism, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. If your kids want to, learn from you.
Yeah.
Like, I got 3 boys, thank you, Jesus. No girls. But, all my boys, they want to work on cars. They want to learn about cars. They want to learn. They want to, and I teach them as much as I can, because when they grow up, then they're that much more skilled.
Yeah. No, we've seen it before. Steve Spurrier Jr. is a head coach. Shane Beamer is a head coach. We've seen, it happens in the coaching profession. Shanahan's, Mike, you see it all the time. So it's not like this is a unique situation by any means.
Right.
By any means. So, people want to make a big deal about it when it's convenient.
Yeah, but has there been a time that has been as noticeable, meaning like head coach in waiting? Did Mike?
I don't think so. But you don't really see that as much in the. I'm not saying it's
like they're normally on their staffs, but they don't take over for them whenever they're gone. There's not one that sticks out to my head. I don't know if there's one for you, Jen.
There's the nepotism thing. It's people they're complaining about it because they want to give jobs to people that have very little skill and no qualification.
Yeah.
And it's like, why not? Why would you give it to them? I understand that you can't, you're searching for an opportunity, but, there's people that are way more qualified, even if like if you didn't, stay stuck up your parents' rear end, you're still going to learn something. You're still going to know all these extra things just from being around it, and you're so much more qualified and from whatever it be, whether it's carpentry or coaching or.
Hey, Jim, I got to run, man. We're up against our final. Well, This is it right here. We're going out. But, Jim, thanks so much for the call.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Listen to you every day.
Absolutely. We appreciate that. Well, guys, it's been another beautiful Tuesday afternoon here. We appreciate all you guys riding along with us. We'll always take your calls on the Jed Lawyer phone line here. Tyler, what's your final thoughts for the day, your final takeaway?
Final takeaway? Do unto others, you want done unto you.
Hey, there you go. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Caveman Rick, you got anything philosophical back there?
No, I don't actually. Nothing to top that right now.
All right. I'll go with it's not how you start, but how you finish. So thank you guys so much for riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. The race to Talladega will continue on the Coach James Hell Show, 7:15 and 8:15 tomorrow morning. Text it into 850-215-6290. Atlanta Braves coming up next. Just remember, Jesus loves you, and so do I.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Atlanta Braves play here.
Here comes the thunder.
After a slow start, the Atlanta Braves are ready to launch.
Taking no prisoners. Braves win it in the bottom of the 10th.
Tonight, the Atlanta Braves host the Toronto Blue Jays. We'll have live coverage coming up from Truist Park at 6. First pitch at 6:07, right here on your home for the Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Tuesday. For tonight, clear skies and a low of 57 with a gentle breeze around 11 miles per hour coming out of the north. Tomorrow morning, sunshine with temps around 70. In the afternoon and evening, sunny with a gentle breeze and a temperature near 73. Moving into Thursday, about the same with a high of 77 and sunny. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
CBC Construction is looking for a few good men. At CBC Construction, our greatest strength lies within our talented team. Join us and be a part of a dynamic company that values its people. We offer a tremendous opportunity to create a future for your family and the Florida Panhandle. CBC Construction.